Seriously, what am I even...
Hey guys! Oh, well, I'm loving the hat.
Unfortunately, it just makes me look like a gnome.
So welcome to another episode of Reels and Heels, episode 37. And today is actually a continuation of last week where we were talking about vehicles from, boats, planes, trucks, all that.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
That's right. Now we're going to go further than planes. We're up in space. And Ryan's going to love that because, he's a Mandalorian. He's a Mandalorian.
Not that business is left to Din Djarin, but this is the way, Brian.
Yeah. So we have a returning guest, Jerome Connor from Saturday Morning Cartoons, and his partner, Rose.
Hi, everyone.
Actually, I'm more of her partner than she's mine.
Oh, okay. And of course, Ryan. We always love Ryan here. But we have a special guest that I've been trying for months to get on. Yes, our Fez-loving author, Brian K. Morris. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Brian. Thank you for inviting me. I'm sorry our schedules have not meshed until this point, and to the audience, it wasn't always Brian's fault. So no, I'm privileged to be here. Looking forward to the conversation today, and hoping I don't sound too stupid.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of give you the floor, Brian, here.
And all the dirt on it, yeah.
Go ahead and introduce yourself. I mean, who is Brian K. Morris?
Well, it's funny you should ask. I happen to know all about him. And unaccustomed as I am to promoting myself, I'm an independent publisher, freelance hybrid author, award-winning playwright, note the air quotes, and a former mortician's assistant. I'm also a broadcaster, and some of these wonderful people have been on my shows, such as Nevermind the Furthermore, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central, or Clever Title Pending, Tuesday nights at 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Central. And be sure to tune in this coming Tuesday when we talk about imposter syndrome with an all-star panel, including, turn to the page, Brian. Okay, Carl Witzman, John C. Bruning, and Amy Hale. Thank you for the floor, Brian, very much, and all that in one breath.
And speak of the devil, man. He's in the chat room.
There he is, the devil himself. Carl, glad you're here, sir.
So, famous spaceships. There's been a lot on TV and film throughout history. And I know a certain show just ended yesterday, and that galaxy has a lot of spaceships, which I'm sure we're going to talk about a lot of those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I'm ready for this, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I felt so inadequate. I felt prepared.
So, outside of anything that's part of the Trek or Wars, when you think of famous spaceships, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
TARDIS.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Battlestar Galactica.
Good choice.
Battlestar Galactica. Oh.
Well, Serenity.
Firefly.
The Eagle. As in 1969 Eagle.
Hmm.
The Eagle has landed.
Yes.
That was on my list too, oddly enough, because I'm a big science nerd from the very beginning of the Mercury program.
Oh,
actually.
Brian, you and I have got to sit down and have conversations.
That's what I'm hearing, man, friend. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh,
Yeah.
you and I are going to be buds.
Oh, hell yeah. But it's like, I remember, in fact, in thinking about working towards the show, I remember when I was in first grade and John Glenn was circling the Earth. And our teacher took our first, I was in a very small school, and they took the first, second, and third grades into this one little room where we had a black and white console RCA TV.
Yep.
So remember, and we got to watch the broadcast of Glenn broadcasting from outside the limits of the Earth. And then I remember also with Apollo 11, I had actually spent that entire summer training myself to stay up for 72 hours at a time.
I was out of the country when it happened. So I had to watch it. I had to watch it on Armed Forces television because my father had us up at Goose Bay, Labrador, Canada. Willow, you know how familiar that is.
Oh yeah.
So I know cold.
Yes. We're all down here in 0 degrees. You're like, I'm in shorts. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's 30 degrees, snow up here in Massachusetts, and I'm ready to walk outside in my bare feet. Okay.
Yes,
so, in my case, Brian, I was fortunate, and I do say blessed, to have met Lovell and to have spent a weekend with Fred Hayes.
Oh, MG. Oh, wow.
See, that's what I'm saying. You and I really need to sit down and chat.
Yeah, we do, brother. We do. Seriously. Yeah, I was on NASA's mailing list for
sorry, guys. We're stealing his show here.
Oh, God, no. Yeah, so seriously, the real life stuff was amazing, and especially now when we go back and we look at what were basically tin cans on a can of gasoline being set up into beyond the protection of our atmosphere with a calculator that I probably have thousands of times more computing power in my wristwatch than I do in what got us to the moon and back. So
1 million spare parts, 7.5 million pounds of thrust, all done by the lowest bidder.
Yes.
All right, sorry. We were really
Was there a show or something? What?
That's okay. I got a question here for everyone, and I'll start with Ryan. Do you think our fascination with like NASA and space has led to people being fascinated with like science fiction? Star Wars, Star Trek, all that space stuff.
I would say that's safe to assume, yeah, absolutely. And by the way, to answer your question, since the two wizards who have been around for 6 billion years were having a man crush moment, romance, as they say on the interwebs here in 2020. The first ship that comes to my mind, Brian, is either the Millennium Falcon or a really nice, shiny X-Wing fighter. Yeah.
I can work with that.
Those are some of the first ships that come to my very young mind.
Have you ever seen a shiny, clean X-Wing? They're always filthy and dirty, guys, because they've been used.
Yeah.
Well, if I ever get my own, Mr. Gandalf, a.k.a. Jerome, I will make sure that it's clean, and I put 2 coats of wax this time on it, and not just one, okay? Because someone told me the other day, I was just putting on the second coat now, and I told him, Biff, don't con me. And then he said, I'm sorry.
Yes, but Ryan, remember when you're working the wax on the X-Wing, it's wax on, wax off.
Oh, yeah, baby. Dude, I learned that. I saw that 80s film not too long ago, so I understood that reference and the one you made earlier with planes, trains, and automobiles. I understood that one, too.
Willow is our expert on model on
yeah, just showing the kids at home all her itty-bitty little props that she has.
My husband's miniature set.
I've got to visit her house.
Willow has a very big collection of micro machines. That's what she's
I love micro machines. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love micro machines too.
Who doesn't, Brian? We should get a micro machines collection with spaceships from Star Wars. Yeah, that would be fun.
Is that guy still alive that did the commercials?
Micro
machines?
Machines?
I don't know that he is.
Who? What?
Remember the Micro Machines guy? The guy who always talked like this, who always took out all the spaces between all the letters and everything, and he could like read the whole entire Constitution in 5 seconds.
Wasn't he the FedEx guy also?
I think he did do FedEx. That's right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he passed a few years ago.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Darn it.
Yeah.
But you were asking a question, Brian, about NASA and science fiction. There was another film that came out in 1968 that got even more people excited about science fiction. But the problem was, to fully appreciate the movie, you had to be slightly chemically enhanced. Okay.
I know the one you mean.
See, 2001 with Hal and the Discovery. Now, the funny thing about it is it was actually a ship that could be built and be used because they had a lot of science because Arthur C. Clarke was involved.
Right. And you talk about blurring the line between science fact and science fiction. When you start talking, when we think about things like Apollo 13, there was a movie with Gregory Peck in the late 60s called Marooned.
Marooned, yes.
Written by Martin Caidin, who at the time was a NASA scientist.
And he went on to create a really cool TV show called The $6 Million Man.
Based on his book Cyborg.
Which was a bestseller.
It was a bestseller, and it spawned 3 sequels. Also, when you watch the opening to The $6 Million Man, the parts that are not Lee Majors are from the real crash that inspired Cyborg and Steve Austin.
And that pilot was pissed about that show because it kept showing his crash all the time.
Yeah, the PTSD would kick in something fierce. But the thing is, whereas Steve Austin lost both legs and an arm and an eye, in real life, all the pilot lost in that horrific crash was just one eye.
Actually,
and that is a testament to NASA.
He lost the eye later on.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
He got an infection in the eye from another crash.
Yeah.
And he walked away from that crash you see in The $6 Million Man.
That's right. Yeah, he walked away from it.
And by the way, Ryan, I don't know this. I just looked it all up 3 weeks ago. So, it's one of those. I don't know everything.
And I've imprinted it on my DNA, so it's all right.
Ryan, when you get to be old like us, you'll be on our vote.
Yeah.
Oh, lost Rose.
It's not going to happen for a very long time, but thanks for noticing. I still got plenty of youth. Let me tell you something. I got plenty of years of youth left in this system. So it's going to take me a while.
You'll be surprised at how much it gets sucked out once you start having a career.
Yeah. Or you can be like me and not have a career.
You got more fun than I do.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of the I believe it was 1979, that first Alien film? They had some really cool spaceships in
Ridley Scott, yeah.
I loved it.
Ellen Ripley.
And that I love the Star Wars vehicles. Like you said, it looks like it had been used. In fact, to the point where it was to me, like a floating warehouse in space. There probably wasn't a mop or a broom to be found on the whole thing. It just looked so grungy and so real.
And that's what I think. And that's what I think Lucas was trying to go with, because he was trying to do that whole World War II aspect of a lot of that. If you watch a lot of the takeoff from Yavin, and you look at it, he wanted to look like these were basically, we found these in a dump and refertilized them, and he wanted them to look used. He wanted them to look tired, because that was what he was going for. Is that the guys who jury rigged everything were the ones who were going to save us all. Yeah. And if you ever get a chance, Ryan,
if you go back to the prequels, all the ships were brand new and shiny.
Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't like them. Ryan, if you ever get a chance to see the big 9-foot Millennium Falcon up close and personal, like I did, what's funny is you got to watch it. Look real closely. You can see how they kit bashed everything when they made it. I'm pointing to fenders and hatches from submodels. You look at it and you realize that how you can see pieces of other models on it. It's really fascinating. I think you'd love it.
Oh, nice. I have to mark that down on my 5-mile list that you keep giving me stuff to do and things to see before I croak.
Listen, Padawan.
It's all right. You can say Padawan. I'm all right with it, I guess.
Or would you prefer Grasshopper?
Or what's up? Just whatever. Yeah. What's your point?
Only Ryan and Rose knows Grasshopper. The rest of these guys don't.
Yeah, if he offered you a pebble, man, don't try a grass.
Yeah. I'll keep that in mind, Mr. Morris. Yeah. All right.
Ryan's a good guy. And by the way, shout out to Nerd Culture. They were fun last night at the I think it was last night was the Batman trivia.
Yeah.
Nice.
They were good. I had fun watching that.
Yeah, that was Nick versus Travis. I wasn't in the hosting chair that week, but I believe Caroline was, so it was fun, yeah.
Yeah. Good crew.
Yeah. We try, Jerome. We try. What are we doing here again, Wensloff? I have no idea even why we're even here. Because you see the title at the bottom of your screen. It says,
I believe we're here to talk about these kind of spaceships.
Why are we even here?
Now, Willow, take that now, right? Flip it upside down.
That's the
That's
proper
how
way.
it was originally submitted to Roddenberry as a
Okay.
spaceship.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking at the greatest Star Trek vehicles, and people were talking about the Enterprise from Star Trek 6 was basically the cleanest version of the television series. It was the closest looking. Do you guys agree with that?
I think the best one was from the motion picture.
Yeah, I like the motion picture. That was one of the few things I liked about the motion picture.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but leaving Space Dock was a hell of a scene.
Yeah, that was impressive. Because that was really the first time we'd ever seen it, because everything was like probably done with models the size that Willow was holding on the original TV show. And it's like, oh my God, they gave us some money.
Yeah.
Wow. The walls aren't shaking when Shatner's walking by them. This is awesome. This is the best thing ever. Yeah.
Okay, so then what is your favorite Enterprise out of all the versions of the Enterprise?
I think
I'll just step out of the room and let these guys talk for another hour.
Come on, Ryan.
I haven't seen much of the Trek. That's why I grew up on the wars as a kid and not the Trek. But I'm trying to learn. It's going to take a long time for me to learn because there's a lot. But I'm trying.
Hey, Joe and I have proved that Star Trek and Star Wars can exist in the same house.
I know that. I'm aware of that. I've seen some of the Trek, just not all of it.
I've always been a fan of both. I don't get. They're two totally different shows.
Exactly.
I don't see why you can't like both.
I agree.
It's true. The little girl on the internet. Why not both? You know, it's a possibility.
Willow, my mixed marriage is even crazier. I'm a Trekkie. She's a ringer.
Okay. Star Trek and Lord of the Rings. I got you.
See, they can exist in the same household.
Right, and they even spawned a child.
Wow.
For me, I mean, I'm a Star Wars guy, but I do.
Yeah, Brian.
Trek. I'm actually a fan of the Next Generation ship. I love that version of the Enterprise.
When you have Patrick Stewart calling the shots, it's not a bad thing either.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank you.
I had the toy as a kid.
There you go, Brian. Just make it so.
I'm an original guy.
Of course you are, Joe. Of course.
I have to say the reason has to do with a little bit more than just Patrick and all that. I mean, without a doubt, Patrick is a phenomenal actor and deserves everything he gets. Oh, geez, Willow.
Wow.
All right, here's the $1 billion question. Willow, is there anything you don't have in that collection?
I've got one on my list that she will not have.
I have one too.
I don't have the Battlestar Galactica ship.
Oh,
Which
BSG?
version?
Okay.
Yeah,
Either one.
Either one from the original or the reboot? Okay.
Okay, I got one. What do you got, Brian?
Fireball XL5.
Oh, yes. Good choice.
Here comes the man crush again.
I know. No, Fireball XL5 was a great Jerry and Sylvia Anderson puppet series in about 1962. And this was where I learned to resent government. Because this show was dope for me. I mean, it's a beautiful spaceship, and it had robots in it and little cycles that could fly through space. And the nose cone actually detached as kind of a shuttle and could land on its own, while the big ship with all the science stuff on top would orbit the planet. But where I learned to resent government was during the weekend that, of course, Doctor Who and the TARDIS premiered in November of 1963. I remember watching, my parents and I were watching the entire weekend following the aftermath of President John F. Kennedy's assassination. And I'm thinking, this is sad, but I'm good, because I know at 9:30 Central Time on NBC, Channel 15 is going to run Fireball XL5 and life will resume again. And they kept talking through this whole thing about this, about the president and everything. And I'm like, where's my spaceship? Where's my damn show? This is where I started feeling empathy for soap opera fans. And it's like, my dad were like, you realize there's something more important going on. I'm like, no.
Yes, no, there was something more important going on.
There was, and they weren't showing it.
It was the world premiere of the first episode of Doctor Who, also.
Well, exactly, but I didn't even much understand there was a Britain at the time. I was only like 7, and it's like, my worldview was very, very small at that point. I didn't have like this worldly demeanor you see in front of you people.
All right, I've got an obscure one for you guys.
All right,
the trash pickup ship from Quark.
Oh my God, with the Barnstable twins and yes, and Ficus
the plant.
I have just lost an argument with love to a plant. Yes, I remember that show written by Buck Henry. That was a great show. I loved it.
Buck Henry, who brought you Get Smart and all the other comedies of the 19th.
Captain Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see Ryan's zoning out. Yeah.
No. If you want to know the truth, I'll tell you what. If you want to know the truth, I'm on a place, jungle called Amazon, and I see they have the whole set of Star Trek movies because I haven't seen all the Star Trek movies, so I need to do my own research.
Oh, very good, very good.
Actually, full disclosure, I'm probably going to add that to my Amazon list.
So just bear with some of these films, okay? Some of them are.
No, I've heard people tell me certain things about the movies, all 10 movies or so from
Just
the original.
Remember, Star Trek 5 was during the writer's strike.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
We'll make up for it. It's the just watch the even number ones.
Yes, watch the even number ones. Exactly.
That's what they tell me. So but I still want to watch. I want to watch all of them so I can get an idea of what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, stay away from the first one and the pedophile.
Well, let me tell you something. I watched 15 minutes of the motion picture and I was like, this is boring.
No, the funny thing was the first one had a lot of potential. The story was
so bleeding boring. So
well, exactly.
I can't watch it, but I did see Wrath of Khan, so I have seen Wrath of Khan. At least I've seen that one.
All right, that's good.
One, then. You've seen the best one.
I like 6 better, but
on all levels.
Undiscovered Country's mine, so.
Yeah, like I said, I have something to look forward to when I buy it from Amazon, and I can just binge watch the whole Star Trek movie universe, not counting the TV series, just the movies.
I will say, I binge watched the original series with the special effects.
Really?
And if you watch that, the special effects actually add to the storytelling. And you go back and you see how much really terrific acting went on between especially Shatner, Nimoy, and Kelly. There's some real chemistry there and some real good stuff. And you can also tell when they weren't fired up about the script, Spock's brain. So, yeah, if you skip Spock's brain, if you just watch 78 of the episodes, you're fine. You'll be okay.
Thanks. More homework for this young lad to do.
No problem.
I kind of have a Star Trek connection. I have a friend of mine, and he's also a past guest, Robert Meyer Burnett. He actually did all the special features for the Blu-ray release of Star Trek The Next Generation.
Oh, nice.
Oh, TNG, nice.
Yeah, so he helped with the restoration of that show and did all the special features. He also did the special features on Superman Returns and the X-Men films as well.
Very cool.
I would not mind watching TNG because of that guy, Picard. So, we'll see.
So I've always wondered with the Star Trek vehicles if they had crossed over into the Star Wars universe, like how they would have done in like battles and
merchandising. That would have been fun.
That would have been
they
really
don't even have shields up.
Yeah, but the merchandising for that host Brian would have been fantastic. See, I'm coming up with new nicknames for these two different Brians here. So
well, okay, seeing a Warbird against an X-wing, that would be awesome.
Yeah, the Warbird would destroy the X-wing.
Gee, thanks for the vote of confidence in my ship.
The funny thing is that ship is actually supposed to, that you had there, Rose, the Romulan one, is actually supposed to be larger than the Enterprise D.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
What about something like the Viper against an X-wing? That would have been a cool thing to see.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that one I could see that would be a better match. Now, here's the funny thing about the Viper. Little side note, and I only got this because I'm a member of the Air and Space Museum. Okay, and they did an article on the F-16, and the F-16 was such a great fighter that the pilots wanted to call it the Viper.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they said it was like, they had all that feel to it, like flying something out of space, like they saw on Battlestar, but some bureaucratic a-hole decided to call it the Falcon.
Figured.
Yeah. So there's a little real life things thanks to the Smithsonian Institute.
Very cool.
So one of my favorite shows growing up, I know it came on before my time, but I believe it was still possibly airing as I was growing up, is Buck Rogers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff in there. You guys have any fond memories of those ships in that show?
Who watches ships on that show?
Aaron Gray, yeah.
Yeah, not just Aaron Gray either.
Oh no, Ardala, Pamela Hensley.
Oh, Ardala.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You know, Jamie Lee Curtis was on that show once.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You know, out in the desert in that jumpsuit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
See, nobody bothered with the spaceships on that show. I mean, Erin Gray told me that when I asked her about modesty on that show, she said when the camera stopped rolling, she grabbed herself a bathrobe to cover herself up. That jumpsuit was just way too tight and smooth for her enjoyment.
Yeah. You know, speaking of Erin Gray, she's part of the con industry now. She actually owns a company called Convention Heroes, I believe, and they represent a lot of the I think the CW cast of like Arrow, Stephen Amell.
Mm-hmm. She's a dynamite person to be around. She's nice to the fans. I can't say enough positive about Erin Gray. You know, she was really, really a nice person to be around, having been her handler at a show.
Yeah, she still looks good too.
Oh yes.
Yeah, she does. She aged
And
well.
look at, we got Ryan over here going like this.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with sci-fi and their many, many eye candy.
Hey,
No, trust me. I mean, we all have our crushes, whether it's a man crush or a female crush. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and there's some of us in the Midwest totally dateless around that time. You know, one slave girl outfit just kept us going for the whole summer, if you know what I mean.
Wasn't just the Midwest.
Wow, I understood that reference, Mr. Morris. Yeah,
I can finally draw you into a conversation, Ryan.
I know, because you're talking about things that I haven't even heard of yet. So, yeah.
Oh, the hour isn't over, young man.
Well, you
I
guys
know.
is my extent of geeking
Trust
out.
me when I
it's
say my
nice to have
Amazon list
people
of things I need to
really
buy and
appreciate
binge
that.
watch just continues to grow.
Yeah.
Don't worry, the Star Trek movies have been added to my list.
So Carl said a
Yep,
theater
yep.
in Indy did a Star Trek movie marathon called "Sit Long and Prosper."
I don't know if I can sit for that long, pal.
Oh no, no!
That's-
When they did that marathon, because they did it up here in New England twice, it was Treks 1 through 6.
That's
Ooh.
way
That's a
too
long
long.
time.
It was, but it was great.
Can't do
I like
that. That's too rich for my blood.
I'd have to ring out my Depends a couple times.
Yeah, they gave you a 20 to 30-minute break between films.
I
Yeah.
every moment of it.
I did sit through Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3 when 3
Yes.
premiered.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
I
When the-
waited in line for that, and that was one of the most awesome nights.
Yeah, when the
Okay.
30th anniversary came up in 2015, I was there in my local theater. We watched all three, and they gave you like a 20, 30-minute break in between. Oh, now you want to talk something that's heavy. That was heavy, but it was fun.
All right. How about these? How about, we talked about Star Wars. How about this? It had a lot of spaceships. Babylon 5.
Never seen it.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that one up in
Never seen
Farscape.
What I really loved about Babylon 5's the fighters that they launched was they didn't launch them, they dropped them. They dropped them out. And they really used space as and the zero gravity and everything else to their advantage, of that they, instead of having to turn around to shoot, all they did was they flipped the ship and it still kept its momentum going in the direction they were, so they could do it. They did some really creative things with those ships. They had their what was it, basically an exploration ship that was so huge because they're going out to the middle of nowhere. They had to have everything with them, and they really did some interesting things with not only with gravity, but with the size and the shapes of the ships. They did rotation of the space station to create gravity. It was actually a very well thought out series of vessels.
Yeah, and that show was brilliant. It had a great cast, and
There were some real jerks on that cast too.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me.
Really.
That show though did something that a lot of shows shouldn't have done, and that's when they created it, they wrote out the full story.
Yes. The problem was he actually written out the 5-year arc, and he had to compress it down to 4 because he wasn't sure year 5 was going to happen. So the best thing to do is just watch years 1 through 4. 5 was all pretty much all filler, to be honest. You know,
that's something when you create a TV series is you shouldn't create like we already know what the end is going to be, because if the show is good, you can continue it, and then you kind of get locked into, well, we already have our end.
Yeah, but the show was not about the people. That show was Babylon 5, the space station's place in history, and you knew that the way they said it is that space station had a beginning and an end, and the people involved were just part of its history, and that's how it was really written as. If you go back and watch it,
Interesting.
Because J. Michael Straczynski has stated that the space station is a character in that show.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Speaking of another movie where the vehicles did play character, The Last Starfighter.
Oh, great movie.
Just saw that for the first time not too long ago. That's a darn fun movie. It's got a lot of spirit to it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Ryan, what you thought of that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, man. It was fun. The ships were cool. The effects were cool. The story was good. The cast was great. I mean, Catherine was the love interest was phenomenal because it's the 80s. Everyone looks great. And it's just,
no, I've got a yearbook that says we don't look good in the 80s.
Well, some do. Some stick out more than others. Let's be honest. But other than that, yeah, the movie was fun, man. I enjoyed the heck out of it.
So let me ask you this: how do you feel like the special effects on that? Did that feel like it held up over God knows how many years?
More than 3 decades.
Yeah.
A lot of decades there, folks. The 80s. What can I tell you? But no, they held up fine. Didn't bother me. Didn't take me out of the movie. I just felt like I was in the adventure, and the score helped a lot. The score was great.
Music was great.
It kept the spirit alive, and it made you feel like you're in this adventure for the long haul. No matter what he ends up doing, does he get the girl? Does he not? Whatever. It's fun. Plus, getting the high score in a video game is a great accomplishment in any child. So I know what it feels like to want that high score, Alex Rogan. I know how you feel.
And speaking of The Last Starfighter, the creator actually just got the rights back.
Yes.
And they're moving forward with not a remake, not a reboot, but an actual sequel, which I think in our day and age works well. If you look at, like, we have Xbox and PlayStation and our phones, just everybo's playing games. I mean, seriously, you could do something spectacular with the new Last Starfighter.
Well, he did leave. Yeah, he left his younger brother back there. So, you bring the younger brother.
The younger brother's all grown up now. Yeah. And the trailer park is still standing, I think. Yeah.
This question was asked a few weeks back on the John Campea show about The Last Starfighter, and he said, like, even if they got, like, instead of just one, it would be like a group.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, with the special effects nowadays, oh my God, that movie can be. I mean, it could go one way or the other, but I think it would be a good movie.
As long as it maintains the spirit and includes that heroic, adventurous score, I'm down. Sign me up.
Yeah. For somebody like me, the big hurdle of that show, and I recognize it may only be me, is to get a character that can stand up to Robert Preston.
Yes,
the original, because he was so much larger in life, and of course, I grew up watching The Music Man.
Well, he was the Music Man, and he was the agent from Victor Victoria in The Last Starfighter.
Oh, yeah. He had a great career, so many memorable roles, and he was just, for me, that was what drew me into the theater.
Yeah.
Robert Preston do sci-fi. And they have got, I don't envy the guys writing this, so they have got to come up with a character that is that powerful and an actor who is that charismatic.
Oh, absolutely.
It's got to stand on its own. I recognize that. But still, for guys like me that plunked down the, back then, probably $1.50 to be in the theater.
Yeah. Movie tickets were a nickel.
I know. Yeah, we stopped our cave paintings in the middle of it just to see the new release.
I know all those movie tickets were that cheap nowadays, but not anymore.
Well, from what I read is the creator of The Last Starfighter is actually writing it. And I'm sure it's probably going to get rewritten a little bit, but with him on board, I feel that we're going to get something good. Because I mean, if he's the creator, it's his thing.
Yeah, but see,
I know that Catherine Mary Stewart was really hyping up the new one.
Oh yeah, she is. But here's the problem, okay?
Here comes Devil's Advocate.
No, you do not know how much I want to see a good sequel to this, okay? But I've been burnt in the past, okay? When you do sequels or reboots, whatever, from something that had a lot of magic when it first came out, and you try to recreate that, or has the lightning in a bottle, they always miss the mark. Or, I've rarely seen. All right, not always. I will grant you, not always, but in most cases, they miss the mark. And you don't. I mean, you go, that was a good movie, but you feel cheated somehow. And that's all I'm saying is, they got to be careful on that, because some of these films just have a magic to them that you can't explain, and when they try to redo it, they just seem to miss it for some unknown reason.
Well, the studio executive should call you, and you should be the creative consultant for these projects.
Dear God, no.
You know so much. You know what the people want. Why not just help them make it?
Because I don't know what the people want. That's the problem. If I knew what people wanted, I would be an executive.
Jerome and saying, "Hey, Jerome, the Patriots need a new coach, and we're going to hire you to be the new coach of the Patriots." Hey, that's
who are the Patriots? Soccer team. That's a soccer team, right? The Patriots. That's what I heard, right?
Yeah, no.
They're a kickball team.
That would be the soccer team would be the New England Revolution.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I was wondering which one was which. Thank you.
Yeah, no. But my point though is that you look at a lot of stuff, and when they do either a sequel, a reboot, or something like that after a grand period of time, there really is a missing magic to a lot of those. Okay, and you can see it. Look at the Superman movies. Okay, Christopher Reeve came along, and there was a magic there. The tagline, and Brian, tell me, the tagline was this: you will believe a man can fly.
Yep.
Okay. And when those first two films came out, there was a magic, and people were talking about it. And then Superman Returns and The Man of Steel, and it's missing the magic. It's missing the Christopher Reeve magic. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Good films. Yeah. I enjoyed them a lot. But that magic that made you, think that there could be a Superman was missing.
Yeah. Well, the je ne sais quoi, what the French call a certain I don't know what. Yeah, we got it.
Well, I know we're talking spaceships, but you talk Superman. The argument with that Superman, if you look at the comics that were going on at that time, that's how it was. Yeah. Superman's not like that. You can't make a Superman movie like that in this day and age. You just can't.
Yes, you can. You can do a lot of things that can make that
possible. You can't do the Boy Scout. It just won't work in our day and age.
See, that's where I disagree.
Yeah, I do.
And that's a show for 2021, Brian Wenslaw.
But either way,
when you do it, call me back.
I'm sure the two wizards here are going to have words
because we can talk about the ship that Superman arrived in.
That's what I was going to say. There's several versions of that ship of Superman coming.
Iterations of it, yeah.
Yeah, the classic one that most people know today is from the film, the Crystal Ship. Okay, with all the crystals in that. But if you go back to the original 1938 film comic book of was basically to look like a standard spaceship, painted yellow with fins and everything else. And that was how people saw that ship from Krypton for years and decades before they started making changes. And Brian, is it the Superman ship with the hands? Remember the hands in the comic books? I don't know if you ever read those comics.
Oh, the Supermobile.
Thank you, the Supermobile that could fly in space. Yeah.
Yeah. And could resist kryptonite, could shield him from kryptonite. Yeah. Called the first time I was really aware of merchandising.
They had these hands right at the beginning of the nose cone. So they were supposed to look like Waldo's.
Yeah.
But it was always out like this, attached to the nose cone.
Yeah, it and the Thanos copter are my two favorites from that era.
Thanos.
There was a children's television workshop version of Spider-Man on the Electric Company show, and they translated this to the comics called Spidey Super Stories. And in one issue, they actually wrote in Thanos, back before he was a true badass like he is now. But he was flying around Earth in a helicopter. That had the name Thanos on the side. So if you ever see the epic rap battle of history thing with Thanos versus Robert Oppenheimer, you see the helicopter came in. The first thing I did was I sent the link to David Anthony Kraft, who was a writer and editor at Marvel at the time, and I think had something to do with the Thanos copter. And I said, "Look, dude, you've made it." And he was just so tickled. He was so tickled.
So, Jerome, when he was talking about remakes and stuff, I have to bring this up because this is probably my favorite sci-fi show of all time, and that's the 2004 version of Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
Good show. Good show.
Yeah, and I like how they stayed true to the ships, but yet made them modern, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially the Viper. I mean, you had the original Vipers there, but then you had the newer Vipers, which I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I liked how you see every now and then a little, like, almost like an Easter egg, like a little homage to the Lorne Green series of the original. And, you know, I'll give you another, I think that's a great example, Brian. I'd also say next year Doctor Who did the same thing, that they took the basic thing that made the original series work and put it in a more modern context and changed up the writing even to reflect more of the emotion that we're seeing now in a lot of TV shows. And I think that's why the series is still going on to this day.
Yeah, and I know the Peacock Network is doing another version of Battlestar Galactica, which I'm not a person that's against remakes and reboots. I mean, if they're good, they're good. If they're bad, then we have the other ones that we can go back to. And that's just my thought on film and TV. I don't think people have to trash saying, well, that's crap, or, you know, it's going to ruin the name. No, it's just another, as they say, a companion. If it's good, it's good. And if it's bad, well, then, oh, well, then you have the old stuff to go back to. And that's just my opinion on the whole, like, remake thing and reboots and all that.
All I can say is I have two words on that to contradict what you said. Bionic woman.
We have a winner. Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, if you're going to take the name from an original thing, you know, it's like, I agree with you, Jerome, that particular series didn't really owe a lot to the original, except for a few concepts. If you're going to create something pretty much out of whole cloth, then don't use the original name.
I mean, they made how many times have they remade?
Thank you.
Yeah, how many times have they remade Knight Rider?
Oh God,
they didn't remake it a lot. I mean, the actual Knight Rider they remade once. Then they had a spin-off called Teen Knight Rider, which took place in the future.
See?
I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
I knew about the reboot because I was there. But the Teen Knight Rider, I wasn't there for.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and look how many Stargates too, you know. So
are there like 50 of those now?
I don't know. I gave up. But you know, back to spaceships.
Yeah.
Okay. There's an obscure one that only Brian and I will know, and maybe Rose. And that's the I think it's called the Interceptor from Blake 7.
Oh yes. Yes. The best series end ever. Yeah.
And the funny thing is now Ryan, this is a really, really, really good series.
Open up your Amazon tab.
No, right, you can get it on YouTube.
Oh,
you
really?
can get it on YouTube. The problem is it's a 1960s show, so while the acting and the storytelling are dynamite to beyond words, the special effects are horrible. I mean, as in, like, they didn't even get a children's television show budget. Bad. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they make Doctor Who special effects from that time look like ILM.
Yeah, but the story is really good because you're dealing with galactic empires and rebellion and all that, and they looked at it realistic.
Yeah.
And it was really good. And I think you would like it because the storytelling is so powerful.
And another aspect is that the actor who played Blake of Blake 7 decided to get all Hollywood with the BBC, and they said, screw you, and kept the show going without Blake.
Yeah, without the lead.
And actually got better.
It did. It actually did. Okay. And that was the strength of it. It was they even killed off a few major characters.
Yeah.
Which is what happens in a real war. And it was really good on that. Now, I have to say that Firefly owes a lot to Blake 7.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Serenity was a dang good ship.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yes, it was.
I agree. It was on my list, yeah.
That makes Willow smile.
Still one of my favorites.
As well as just
so I want to run a special commercial here since he's our guest, and we'll be right back.
From author Brian K. Morris comes an epic tale of armor forged by a god, a hero forged by courage, and an ancient menace poised to re-emerge and threaten our world. VULCANA, Rebirth of the Champion, is available on Amazon.com. Get your copy today.
Wow, what a commercial.
I know it. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Thank you sincerely.
Thank you.
And the Amazon list for this young kid just continues to grow.
And, I got to say, that is actually a good story.
Brian, how much are we getting paid to suck up here?
Yeah, don't. What am I trying to say? Wenslov, don't ruin the book for me. I haven't read it yet.
Holy cats.
No spoilers, Wenslov.
No spoilers, I promise.
I haven't read it yet.
Somebody gets killed is what else I can say.
Oh, great.
Not just once.
Every story, somebody always dies.
That's your guide to good literature. Do they die?
Okay. I'll be sure to look for that when I'm reading VULCANA.
Please do. But no, thank you, Brian. I sincerely appreciate that. I have one. I've been dying to get this in. Get it on Spaceships. I have one, and I know one person will get this. The Moon.
And it was really good on that. Now, I have to say that.
Are we hearing the voice of Jerome's head? What's going on?
Sorry.
Oh, man.
Are we hearing what's going on in that head of his?
My head, inside my head is like Robin Williams. Okay.
Yeah. The only thing you know what I'm talking about, right, Jerome?
The only thing I can think of is 1999.
Exactly.
All right.
Where they had some good spaceships on there, some really cool spaceships. But the premise of it, and again, it's a Jerry and Sylvia Anderson show.
Is that Space 1999?
That is
1999, where the moon.
What was the other one? Above and Beyond? Are they two separate shows?
Which one?
Above and Beyond.
Oh yeah,
Space Above and Beyond is basically World War II fighter pilots off of a carrier. Space 1999 is we stored too much nuclear waste on the moon, and it blew up, and it shot the moon out of the orbit and out of the solar system.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Martin Landau and Barbara Bain.
Oh, Barbara Bain.
Oh hell yeah.
I got them on Mission Impossible this morning.
Yeah.
I love Mission Impossible too, but yeah, I loved it, and it was kind of I was doing some research actually, and it was kind of like a follow up to another show called UFO.
Oh yeah,
where,
I love. Come on, you gotta admit that the high tech UFO hunting command system under a Hollywood movie set, so they could bring in the weirdo technology as props was brilliant.
It's genius. It was a genius show. Some great acting on there too.
Oh, and development and character development. I mean, you got to see the Ed Bishop character really develop as a tragic hero.
Yeah.
And it had, I believe, Benedict Cumberbatch's mother.
Yes. Yes, Ben. Yeah.
And she's a damn fine actress, too. She's also in an episode of Faulty Towers, too, which is another show that got remade to death here in America in the 70s. And the less said about that, the better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But in UFO, the skydiver, every kid I knew either wanted to fly the skydiver or we wanted to be on the moon with the girls with the purple hair.
Oh,
and we all wanted to jump down that slide into the intruders, the interceptors.
Yeah.
Where you grab the bar and you slide down in. Can't tell you how many times we wanted to do that as a kid. You know, when you're on the slides in the playground, they always had a crossbeam. We all grabbed it and started thinking we were all pilots.
It was like the next generation for the bat poles.
Yes.
For the Adam West Batman series. You know, you don't just climb down a ladder. You grab something, you pull up your feet, you dive down the chute, and you're in the spaceship. I mean, you know, the 10-year-old in all of us was like, "Ooh, boy." So
well, that's kind of like what they did in Voltron, the lion one.
Yep, same idea.
And they went down, and it would be in the lions.
Or the guys who, when they went into the Thunderbirds.
Yeah,
Thunderbirds. You know, we all wanted to enter, planes or cars or whatever like that because it was a cool way to get into everything.
And then it made way for.
Oh yeah.
Bravo, Willow.
Well, actually, if you want to say what gave way to that, we actually just watched a documentary on Disney Plus called Marvel 616, and the Japanese Spider-Man is what led to all of the Power Ranger stuff because they were doing the Sentai stuff. There was like Masked Rider, but nobody had like robots until the Japanese Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, I think it goes actually beyond that. The robots actually go back to the days of Robotech and stuff.
Japanese Spider.
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
There you go, Johnny Sacco. No, it goes like I said. The Japanese Spider-Man had a lot of good stuff, but you go back and look at the 80s and even the 70s and 60s, which is Johnny Sacco and his giant robot. Okay.
Well, that's where the Japanese Spider-Man came in. It was the 70s.
Was it? Okay. But I just remember Johnny Sacco was great. Adults smoked cigarettes in front of a kid, and they used real bullets. And the kids got to use a gun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nothing that you could do today, but, man, that was the 1960s.
Well, here's something I want to bring up that I don't think a lot of people talk about. I actually like this movie, and I would love to see it remade, but because the company that owns it treats it like it doesn't exist, and that's Disney's The Black Hole.
Oh yeah.
I was just talking with somebody about who did some art on that about it.
I mean, I know the model kits were very popular for that film, but it seems like Disney doesn't. I mean, I think it's on Disney Plus, but it's like they treat it like it doesn't exist, and they've had for years.
Well, it coincides with what Ryan did. What was that last night? You did the Watch of Legacy.
Tron Legacy, yeah.
Yeah. So Black Hole came out about the same time as Tron. The original Tron did, and neither of them were the blockbusters they were hoping for. They wanted Star Wars style blockbusters.
Yeah.
Okay, and originally, the Black Hole was supposed to be called Spaceship Probe 1, and then they stopped all the development of it, and a new person came in and went gothic horror haunted house. Because if you look at it, it's really a haunted house movie. Okay, and that was the change, and nobody had done horror at Disney before. And you can see that by how they did it. They wanted it to be Star Wars, but they wanted to do this horror show. And it kind of got confused a lot, in my opinion. I mean, it was a fun movie, but they looked confused as to what it wanted to be.
Because at this time, Disney wasn't really doing like a lot of live action movies, right? They did like the Witch Mountains. Witch Mountain movies. And of course they did like the Kurt Russell stuff, like The World's Strongest Man and all that. But they weren't really doing like sci-fi movies like The Black Hole and
no, they were doing
family films.
Yeah, they were doing
That's what Disney's known for.
Yeah, they were doing horrible films with Bill Cosby, the Devil and Max Devlin.
Oh yeah, that's one that won't age well.
I don't know. He's a pretty good devil.
I like Ghost Dad.
I like I Spy up to a point, but now it's not really popular.
And if there's any devil movie that is like the top, and that's George Burns.
But Black Hole came out in '79,
Wow,
Yeah.
same year that Alien came out. Jeez.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is in the industry, Brian can attest this, the industry is all very incestuous. Okay, everybody knows what's going on with each other. I don't care about non-disclosure agreements that you talk about. Back then, everybody knew what everybody else was doing. There was a lot of drinking, a lot of bars, a lot of talking. And so everybody knew what was going on, and you can see the influence of Alien on Black Hole. You know, but you could also see the execs wanting Star Wars level box office.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of shows did want to capture that Star Wars magic. BBC wanted to do it with Doctor Who, Blake Seven, etc.
Oh, I got one for you.
Yeah.
Battle Beyond the Stars.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There we go.
George,
there we go. Star Wars.
Go ahead, Ryan, write it down.
Corman's attempt at doing Star Wars with no budget.
Yeah. And even for a genius like Corman, that's saying something. But yeah, and I think going back to the black hole, I think they chose the black hole because that was a buzzword at the time. People knew what a black hole was, but I don't think Disney Inc. knew how to sell that film. Like you said, it was a horror film at its heart, kind of like Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
But whereas the Aliens PR department managed to find the core audience and say, hey, this is a horror movie. We just made it look like a sci-fi film. Disney was trying to say, hey, here's it's Star Wars. Just go see it, okay? And I think it failed on that level. And it's another one of those cases where the marketing department is just not up to the brilliance of the filmmaker, unfortunately, and didn't find a way for their core audience to locate this film that they would have enjoyed, but we have to wait for the internet and word of mouth to make up for what these so-called geniuses couldn't do.
What's interesting... go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
I was going to say, like I said, it's one of my favorite Disney films from that era. Oh, yes. If they were to remake that film now, I already have the director in my head. And he was actually going to do the new Alien film that fell off. But he did District 9.
Mm-hmm. Neil Blomkamp.
Neil Blomkamp. Yeah, he would be perfect for the Black
Blomkamp, yeah. Not a big fan of his, but that's a story for another day.
But what's interesting about Black Hole is that the influence of the UFOs, ESP, all the crazy pseudoscience stuff that happened in the mid to early 70s, you can see that huge influence on that film.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
Hello, Brian.
Hey, Nicole.
And Willow showed us her cat, which was, a reference to Alien.
A loaded conversation piece there.
No. Her cat walked across the screen.
Hey, I have a Flurkin running around here somewhere.
So,
my mind went, Anyway.
What was the question?
There, it's all right.
So, what other? Flight of the Navigator is another thing that comes to mind.
There's a forgotten film.
Yeah. Wow.
Voiced by Paul Rubens.
Yeah.
Oh, Pee Wee Herman did that?
Yes, he did. Oh yeah, you can hear the laugh.
He did a lot more than just working for the Playhouse, man.
Yeah, you can hear the laugh in a couple of areas where he does the whatever his trademark.
Yeah, the guy was busy. Back then. My goodness gracious.
Somewhere I got the list, but yeah, you look at that and that one I haven't seen that film since it came out. To be honest.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of last time I saw that, and all I can think of is that Australian music group right now. So
Men at Work.
More coffee.
Okay, I got one for you that a lot of people haven't seen in a while. The alien UFOs from Close Encounters.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Especially the mothership.
The mothership rocked. That looked like something that could fly across the galaxy. So that was just too awesome.
Yeah.
So since Nicole's joining us, I'm going to ask her. Well, I already know, but nobody listening knows. What is your favorite spaceship in film and TV?
Well, I mean, I have two, because you can't not have a Star Wars ship.
Yes, you can.
Millennium Falcon, and the what is it?
From Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
The Milano.
Oh, good choice.
Wait a minute. Willow's got the Milano I'm sure she does.
No.
He has the Falcon, which made the Kessel run in less than
Yeah.
12 parsecs.
Yeah, she's fast enough for you, old man.
Yeah, she's outrun Imperial starships, not the local ball cruisers, mind you. No, I'm talking about the big Carillion ships now.
Guys, we have the Lego Millennium Falcon here.
Of course you do, Will, because you're obsessed and OCD with Legos.
I want to see Lucasfilms make one with Legos.
Nothing's anything wrong with that.
I know.
We have the Magnex, or we have the Play School Millennium Falcon.
Play School?
Play School. The ones with the little characters.
Yeah. No. Are you sure it's Play School or Playmobil?
No,
Are you talking about Galactic Heroes, Nicole?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. Guardians of the Galaxy thing? Are we allowed to say that now? Trademarks with Space Force now as Guardians and.
Yeah, they're called the As Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
If you want to curse on national internet TV, Jerome, go right ahead.
Hey, I've done worse.
Yeah, As Guardians of the Galaxy. I may not be there opening weekend, but I know a huge part of the fandom will be, so have at it.
So what about more obscure stuff that the
obscure.
How about this one, Brian? How about this one? The NSEA Protector from Galaxy Quest. How about that?
Yeah, I look at the comments. Carl Witzman mentioned it too.
The philosophy of this day and age, Wenzloff, is never give up and never surrender.
Amen.
And there was a scene of going out of the repair dock that Star Trek has yet to match in its drama.
Hey, Mr. Morris, I would rather watch that scene than watch 15 more minutes of Star Trek motion picture. I'll tell you that.
High fives, brother. High fives.
The Eagle 5 from the spoof movie Spaceballs. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, they're good choice.
Has anyone ever driven a Winnebago? Lone Star. There you go.
Oh yeah.
And Spaceball 1. Don't forget Spaceball 1.
Yeah.
Spaceball 1.
It's a transformer.
Wasn't that thing the size of like 50 houses or something? Like it was that long? Because the opening shot of the movie is like 5 minutes.
And that's a slam at the Star Wars opening. You know? They went plaid.
Yeah, and they break for nobody, as the back of the ship says.
Okay.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing, Brian. It's a beautiful
thing. Guys, if there was any ship from TV or film that you could have the cockpit for a week, what ship is it, and what do you do with it? Like you can fly.
I'm on the Enterprise, man. I'm on the Enterprise.
A couple of different directions, Brian. We can give you the PG answer, or we can give you the hard R answer. I don't know how big or small you want to go with this. So
go big or go home.
I'm on the Enterprise, man. I'll tell you that right now. I'm on the original Enterprise. I'm out there going exploring.
Depends on who's talking with me.
It's true. Space is the final frontier, Jerome. So I get it.
So if Starlight's in the cockpit of the Milano, then I'm not gonna have a PG rating at all.
You know what I mean, Brian?
I want to hear this now.
Sorry.
Rose, you were saying something?
Yeah, I've always wanted to be a TIE fighter pilot.
Yeah. Oh, work for the Empire. Okay.
Playing for the Empire, Rose.
Those colors are getting better and better in The Mandalorian. They know how to shoot stuff. And by the way, full disclosure, the stormtroopers are getting really good at aiming their guns. They're really good at this. They're so good at shooting at people in The Mandalorian than they ever were in the original trilogy.
Well, they've had years of practice.
Yeah. 5 years, because Mandalorian takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. But I digress.
Do you think that with them being clones of the original,
they're humans. They're not clones in the original trilogy.
Yeah. But you see, it's like a photocopy. You know, each one has less resolution than the generation before. So by the time you get to the New Hope, these guys probably have to help each other into their armor. You know, they're that lost. But like, which end of the gun am I supposed to point at? The Skywalker kid? Let me pull this light on here. I got this trigger on. You know?
Give me a minute.
So what about you, Brian? What are you going to be flying around in?
The TARDIS.
I kind of figured
you're in the Feds. Come on.
And plus, I can go back to April of 1938 and snatch up all those Action Comics number.
Oh, you mean person, you!
I let you guys have a copy. And,
and then go forward.
You only need one. You only need one copy.
No, I need them all because, see, in order to prevent a paradox,
yes,
I need to snatch them up and create artificial scarcity.
Yes.
And so suddenly I go underground with these things, and I only sell them or give them to like my friends or other creators.
Brian, then you have to go forward 2 months and pick up DC's 27.
That's fine. That's fine. We've got the TARDIS, and we'll be fine for a week because I would take the long way around that week.
Okay.
Well, clearly we know that Mr. Morris is going to do wibbly wobbly, timey wimey type stuff.
Yeah, and it's not like I have any sort of commercial or greedy intent, you know, because I'm way above that.
Oh, Lord heavens almighty. Oh.
That's okay.
What were we going to say, Brian? What's my cop-out answer? Probably Millennium Falcon. Because, you know, flying an X-Wing is sad. It's boring. You're by yourself. You have no friends. You have no life, no family. I want to travel with my friends. So that's why I have the Falcon, so I can take a boatload of friends. We can go on adventures together. Or I can recruit Bo-Katan and her crew, a.k.a. Sasha Banks. Have them work for me, do some jobs. Good
luck on that.
Yeah, oh, no, they'll work for me. Trust me. I'm going to make them an offer they can't refuse, Jerome. And, yeah, we're going to fly around the galaxy. You know, maybe we'll hang out with Boba Fett on Jabba's palace when we need a drink, maybe some food. And, you know, say hello to Fennec, a.k.a. Ming-Na Wen. So that's basically what I'm doing, Brian. Take the Falcon and just go wherever the space or wherever the wind might take us, as I say in Treasure Island.
Well, the Falcon's my second choice, and I would be there with you. We could play chess.
Yeah, but I have a new strategy for you there, Brian. Let the Wookiee win.
Let the Wookiee win. Yeah, exactly.
But I think it would be cool to be in the Slave One.
Oh yeah, Boba Fett cleaned up his suit. He put a new coat of paint on the ship. So yeah, I'm down for that.
I have one.
Like the Slave One.
And of course, Willow is illustrating our point because of how ridiculously good-looking Slave One is going to look in that.
Well, it's a nice ship.
So are we saying that the Slave One is probably the oldest ship in the galaxy right now?
Is it?
Because it was around even before the Clone Wars.
Oh well, in that case, it probably is the oldest ship. Well, congratulations, Boba Fett. You just won another medal. So, there you go. And you get a free lifetime gift card to the what is it called? The Mandalorian Armor Wash.
Yeah. Let's also give us a moment to recognize the loss of the original Boba Fett.
Oh,
Jeremy Bulloch. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, an incredibly nice guy at conventions, and brought his wife with him all the time, and she kept him in line. You know, when he got his ego a little out of check, she brought him down a few pegs. You know.
Here, I brought this on the show.
Oh, wait a minute. What's she bring?
Hey, Willow, your miniatures aren't cutting it anymore. Rosemary Rose is the actual ship.
I've got this since I was a kid. There's parts missing off of it, but I did get Jeremy Bulloch to sign it back in 2009.
Wow.
Willow, the gauntlet's been thrown.
I'm no longer the queen nerd.
Hey, there you go. Put her in the center of the screen on the Titantron. Let's see that. Let me see that again. There's his signature. I see it.
Oh, yeah.
Beauty.
Jeremy Bulloch, Boba Fett. There you go. Yeah. R.I.P. Jeremy Bulloch.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
A great piece of memorabilia to have in anyone's collection, Rose. So you get a gold medal today. What is it? Willow, you get the silver. There you go.
Yeah, I heard he retired. He only retired 6 months ago before his passing.
Yeah, he was. When I met him, he was telling me the biggest exciting thing he'd ever done was even beyond Star Wars. Was he was working for the BBC and got to stand near Brian May when he did "God Save the Queen" on the Queen's Jubilee special.
Oh wow!
He said to him that was more exciting than Star Wars, and I got to say that's probably true.
Well, how many times are you going to stand next to an astrophysicist who's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
A point for you, Brian. There we go.
I'm looking forward to next year to the Jerome Connor and Brian K. Morris show.
Because it's coming. Brian, you took the words right out of my mouth. HWWS Web TV is going to put that thing on the map. We're going to sign him to a 5-year contract. They're going to love it.
Well, I'm looking at how well that they're meshing. They mesh.
They have the romance going on. There's a man crush going on. They got all kinds of knowledge in those noggins of theirs. Come on.
No. That's called old age. I hate to tell you.
I still don't know my wife's cell phone number, but I can name like every anchor who's ever done the Fantastic Four. So
yeah, same here. I understand that.
That's fair, Mr. Morris. Still, the spinoff show that millions of people are dying to see, ladies and gentlemen, Jerome and Brian K. Morris show. It's coming soon, 2021. Mark it down.
Brian, I just hit you with a friend request.
As soon as I get offline, man, you know it's going to get accepted, brother.
Okay, great.
You know what? With all the Star Trek talk, I might just send Brian K. Morris a friend request so he can educate me even further.
Okay, how about this one? How about
that yet? You've been fanboying over him for the last couple of days, and you haven't sent him a friend request yet?
No, I haven't. I didn't want to make it Facebook official yet because I didn't want to, push something too soon with Brian K. Morris. So,
with my usual humility, you may approach the presence, Ron.
All right, here's an obscure one. Okay, and this one's really good. Brian and I are probably the only ones that get this one also. Is the original 1930s movie serial of Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon.
Oh my God!
I know of both properties, but I haven't seen them yet.
Going up like this as the thing goes across the screen.
You can see the wires.
Oh yeah.
And they're landing. They were always circling. Same with taking off, and they had sparklers coming out the back of the ship to take off. And it was always the interior was always this weird control thing that you would stand up. There was no chairs in any of these ships.
Right.
Okay. Again, this is all done on the cheap.
Yeah.
But they were an inspiration to Star Wars. They inspired a lot of stuff to Star Wars. And I think that's why you guys need to know about those. Yeah. And you can find those on YouTube. You can find those episodes on YouTube because I think they're now public access.
I think so. Yeah, I think the studio may have gone out of business and didn't renew the copyright. But yeah, what got me even at like 7 years old was here's the ship, and even I knew at the time that the thrust should be going like this, but instead, because of the sparklers, the thrust went like this.
Yes. You can see the smoke go up.
Yeah, and it's like, and here's this thing going across the screen, and you almost envision this stagehand with a fishing pole.
Yes.
Trying to navigate it through the mountain.
You're probably accurate there.
So I'd like to run another ad. One of our shows are now partnered with Wizard World. So,
that's so awesome.
Basil, a big round of applause. And if you're not part of the legend, you must join now.
This is the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Also catch us on the HWWS Web TV YouTube channel. Subscribe today and become part of the legend.
Nice.
Yes.
Guys, this is where I must say goodbye. I have to get ready and get to work. This has been incredibly fun. Thank you, Brian, for inviting me again. I really enjoy coming on your shows. Brian, you and I really need to talk.
Definitely.
So, Jerome, before you go, where can people find you?
Well, I am co-hosting with Rosemary Rose on the Saturday morning cartoon show, and Mark B. Lee, who's also watching. We will be back on January 2nd will be our show. We're taking the holidays off, but we're doing it safely. We're all staying home with our families. You can find me on Facebook under Jerome Connor. You can find me on Twitter. I think I'm under Hood1707. I haven't checked that. I'm mainly, not accepting. I'm giving grief to certain political issues. I'm on Instagram, and what else am I? I've got so many I can't remember at the moment. Somewhere I even got a MySpace page somewhere, so that shows how old I am.
Okay, I have one too, and Carl in the chat has been stalking my YouTube page.
Stalking is a very, strong word, Willow. So choose those words wisely. But Jerome, have an excellent night /day/whatever at work. And in case we don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Yeah, good night. And Ryan, I always love having chats with you. You're always fun to be with.
Yeah, thanks for growing my Amazon list, Jerome.
Wait, there's more. All right. Bye, guys.
Jerome, before you go, I want to say to you and your family, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, happy holidays, man. We love you around here.
Thank you. Thank you. And we'll see what I can do with my schedule so I can show up more often.
Woo!
Yeah, we love having you, man.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
All
Bye.
right,
Bye.
man, that guy is such a sweet kid. Anyway, what's the next question on your mind there, Wenslaw?
Well,
What's
I
on
was
the
gonna ask,
script?
I know Mr. Morris has a list of like obscure stuff. I want to hear some of these.
Oh, okay. All right. So the continuing education of this guy who knows nothing about spaceships. Go ahead.
We went through all of my major ones. I wasn't going to nitpick, because I'm convinced I was raised in front of a television set until I was about 19 or so. So I've seen like all of the, the great spaceships of history, and I've also seen some others. But no, these were the highlights of mine. So because believe it or not, this show isn't about me, despite how I behave.
Okay, so let's talk about what are some great like battles between ships. Like, do you have like certain like whether in Star Trek or Star Wars, certain scenes that were like really cool spaceship fight like battles?
Wolf 359. Not it. On Star Trek: The Next Generation, the Borg battle, where all the ships got destroyed.
Yep.
Yeah, when the Borg cube showed for the first time, that was crazy.
Wow. I don't know much about the Borg. Like I said, I'm still being educated, folks.
Well, how about this one? The battle at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Oh
yeah.
Ships flying everywhere, people yelling at each other, blasting each other's helmets off, little teddy bears eating stormtroopers alive at the end, and then they beat on their helmets to use as musical instruments. I mean, I don't know what more you could possibly ask for in a movie like that, Brian.
Right. And then I know a lot of people don't talk about this one because there's a lot of hate towards the prequels, but the beginning of
for good reason.
The beginning of episode 3 had a really good battle.
Oh, above Coruscant. The beginning above Coruscant, is that what you're referring to?
No, it started in space and then it ended up on Coruscant. When the ship crashed, when they were trying to rescue Palpatine.
Oh yeah. The real evil person who they couldn't see from 2 seconds away. What's wrong with you, Jedi? Yeah, and then he telling people in his normal voice, just kill him, Anakin, kill him. Do it. It's like, if that's not your biggest clue to who the bad guy is, I don't know what it. Anyway, yeah, it was a decent battle. Not a great movie. Very terrible movie, but decent battle.
It was the best of the prequels.
I would disagree with you on that, but we'll talk about that later.
I've got one. The battle on was the Wrath of Khan, Star Trek II, between the Enterprise and Khan. That to me was a great thing because it not only had all the booms and bright lights that I crave for my entertainment, but also just watching Ricardo Montalban and William Shatner at the height. And I'm deadly serious about this when I say some great acting. I mean, this is one of those times when Shatner isn't just William Shatner reciting lines, but you see the gears turning as James T. Kirk, and there's strategy, there's interaction, it's cat and mouse, and there are times in that battle where you don't think that Kirk is going to come out of it. And there's just a whole lot of stuff in there that was happening at the same time that one sticks out in my mind. My second favorite would be the final Christopher Eccleston Doctor Who, where after he's told Rose, I'll see you in a few minutes. And then he brings the TARDIS into the heart of the Dalek ship, rescues Rose, and then for me, for the first time in this whole series, shows what a badass the Doctor is when he informs the Daleks about the oncoming storm. So
interesting.
Eccleston was awesome.
I fully agree, and the fact that he's doing Big Finish audios makes my heart beat gladly.
Oh, Big Finish is incredible.
Yeah, seriously.
What about the Battle of the Death Star 1 in New Hope?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Classic.
I gotta tell you, man, the more I watch A New Hope, the more that film grows on me. Like, I liked it when I was a kid, and I liked it a little bit more when the special editions were coming out in 97. Like I said, I'm quite young on this panel. But the more I watch the original cut, it doesn't matter which cut. I'm not one of those who think, yeah. But whatever cut I'm watching, I just enjoy that film more and more. And by the way, Alec Guinness, he's a boss in that movie. So good.
Yes.
So good. I can watch Alec Guinness just talk yin-yang about Jedi stuff and mastering the Force for hours.
A New Hope is actually my favorite Star Wars film.
There you go. And there's no right or wrong pick with the original trilogy. It's a great, they're all good films in their own way. And A New Hope is fantastic. That movie, the more I watch that movie, the more I just smiles, Brian, smiles. Enjoyment to the nth degree.
Seriously. Yeah, and I was probably around your age. I was about your age, Sonny, when I saw it in the theaters the first time. And like in my lifetime, this is the first science fiction movie that actually had a budget. You know, everything was on the level of the Saturday morning serials up to that point, and then suddenly, you know, they get an actor like Alec Guinness, Sir Alec Guinness, who I was a huge fan of at the time as an actor, and you know, people that I had seen, and they're suddenly bringing all this gravitas to a sci-fi film. And you know, I agree. I agree. New Hope holds up so very well, even the original cut.
Yeah, original cut is solid.
It is. It really is. And it's even before ILM. And the special effects are, you know, just, you know, fantastic.
Where can you find the original cut now? Because my daughter and I were trying to look for it.
Comic-Con vendors, when Comic-Cons were a thing before Earth shut down, there were vendors who sold this thing called the Star Wars Despecialized Edition, and that's basically the original cuts of the movies. So if you look around, and trust me, they're out there, ladies and gentlemen, there are plenty of vendors who have mastered the artistry of burning classic films from their original cuts and putting them on these things called Blu-ray discs. I strongly recommend that you look them up, and I do have someone that I can hook you up with if you need.
I prefer to have like the physical copy of the.
No, that's what I'm saying. These are physical copies.
No, but they're pirated, and I don't recommend.
Hey, Brian, the Empire was breaking rules back in the day. If they can break the rules, then we at the Rebellion can break the rules to make the world a better place. Okay.
Okay, so, the original DVD release of the first enhanced edition also has the original cuts on
it. Yes, I know what you're referring to. Those came out in, I believe, the year 2003, if not 4.
That sounds right. So, you know, if you go to someplace like eBay, you should be able to find
eBay, Rose. Okay. eBay is your best friend.
I will check that out. 2003. Okay. Thanks, Brian.
Goodwill, pawn shops, Salvation Army, stuff like that. They show up every now and then. The closest thing on Blu-ray to those is the Fox box set that has all 6 films.
Oh.
Yeah, we have that.
What is it called? The Complete Collection, or so they thought.
Yeah, and that was the set that came out just before Disney bought Lucasfilm.
Yeah, it was. That was the last thing that came out before they got bought.
Yeah.
They called it the Complete Saga, but little did they know, oh no, we're not done with this yet. We're going to make another 3.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, what's the new box set from Disney going to be? It's going to be like the original 3 unadorned Star Wars, Black Hole, and Song of the South.
Actually, I do have the inside knowledge from a friend that I trust dearly. The original trilogy is coming to Blu-ray, but they're waiting for Star Wars to hit a certain number.
Yeah, 50.
Makes sense.
Disney has the originals unaltered 50. In their vaults.
Oh, they're sitting there.
They've already been digitally remastered to 4K. Mm-hmm. So when I think it's going to be like
2027.
What is it? Star Wars is 43 years old.
Right now.
Well, 2027 will be the 50th anniversary of A New Hope, so that would make sense.
Right.
Yeah, so sorry kids and adults, You got to wait another 7 years, but don't worry because those 7 years will be here and gone before you know it, or so we think.
Dear.
Or so we think, Rose, or so we think. We're not sure how the next 7 years are going to change the face of our galaxy, but we're hoping for the best.
Yeah. So, Brian, you were talking about like Alec Guinness being like the first kind of big name actor in a movie like that.
And Peter Cushing.
You've seen over the years a lot of big name actors doing films, not just like Star Wars, but like the Marvel films and stuff like that. As a fan of older film and then film now, do you think that is kind of cool to see these bigger name actors like that are usually Oscar caliber actors doing stuff like this now?
Oh my goodness, yeah, because when I was growing up and becoming aware of the Hollywood hierarchies, it wasn't so much this way in Great Britain. It was kind of inverse in Britain, but in America, it was like you started out on stage, then you moved into television, and from there you went into movies. But if you went, if you were in movies and you did television, that was seen as kind of like an acknowledgement that your star was fading. And, and unless you were doing Broadway, you couldn't do stage at all. And that was so nice because you see somebody like an Alec Guinness, who arguably one of the finest actors of that time, this side of Laurence Olivier, and he's in a movie that he clearly should not have been in if you listen to the American pundits at the time. And now when you see people like, like Robert Downey Jr., who was an Oscar winner, and he's suddenly being put in a suit of armor. It's like, and he's not playing an Arthurian knight. It's quite impressive. And I'm glad to see that line between movies and TV being erased. And I think streaming services are going to help with that too, because that might be the way of the future as opposed to over-the-air broadcasting eventually. And also, a job's a job. And just because maybe you were in a film last year and suddenly they're asking you to be in, say, Linda Carter Night Nurse, which is an actual Marvel title from the early 70s, and you have a supporting role in it, that you don't give it the same amount of effort that you would if your name was above the title and going into a theater. So, you do your best work wherever you can and every time.
Yeah, I was listening to a conversation about how television actors, usually it's harder for them to become film stars, where it's easier for film stars to become TV actors. And George Clooney was brought up, like he's kind of like the standard, I believe, of a television actor becoming a big movie star. And he talked about how hard it was for him to transition.
Yeah, and I read an article just this week, and it's slipping my mind at the moment who it was, but it was somebody who had a fairly successful TV career, and he was up for some movie, and all the executives were like, "Well, he's a TV star. We don't think he'll translate well to a bigger screen." Well, all that means is you've just got a bigger screen, and how many names have come off of television that went into films?
Yeah,
we could be here for the whole week listing names of people. But yeah, Clooney was, and he's another guy who, it didn't matter if he was like second backup on Roseanne or the lead on ER or doing, something for the Coen brothers. He just treated it like this was his first, last, and only chance to break the big leagues.
Yeah. I remember seeing him for the very first time on Facts of Life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of funny going back over once he started really gaining prominence in ER. How I went back to his IMDb page and it's like, damn, I've been a fan of his all along and I didn't know it. He's been in virtually everything I've ever watched, virtually everything he ever did. So,
Danny Ocean,
he's a machine, I'm telling you, and one of the best Batman that ever was. change my mind. Anyway.
I like
wow, that's a whole other discussion. I have words for that statement, but we'll talk about that later.
I kind of wish I had that graphic Brian uses with the dumpster on fire going across the screen.
Oh, man, is that... Look, I was 10 years old once, okay? And I thought that movie was cool.
Yeah.
But now when you look back on it, you realize this is not what a movie is supposed to be. Yeah, it has issues. It has problems.
Clooney
made
a
casting that they could have done really good things with, but they ruined it with a lot of weird stuff that happens in that movie. We can go over that in 2020.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
The only highlight of that movie really was Robin.
Oh my god.
All right. Still
what minefield have I wandered into?
I know. Why are we talking about a film from 1997 that no one ever talks about for good reason?
Switching from one eye candy to another.
Oh no.
And how about Andromeda? How about Andromeda, guys?
Andromeda was a great show.
That was a really great show.
Another one I've yet to discover in my youth.
It's really, Kevin Sorbo really did a good job. I think Kevin Sorbo.
That's right.
Say what you will of his political leanings now, but back in the day, I think he was actually quite an excellent actor. I loved his Hercules.
The whole cast was fantastic in that show.
Yeah,
and you got the spin-off series with Xena.
Yeah, see? Yeah, I like Kevin Sorbo as an actor.
Well, Andromeda was Gene Roddenberry creation.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mabel Barrett had, she brought out all these old scripts, and they did a couple of different shows. They had, what was that, Earth? I forget the name of it.
I think it was, or something. Yeah, that's one he tried over and over through the years to try to get that thing going. And there was another one with Robert Foxworth and Mike Farrell of MASH, the Andromeda. I want to say the Andromeda Files or something like that. But it was about Foxworth played an android who was basically supposed to destroy the Earth if we weren't worthy. And Mike Farrell was his human companion that had to get him to the mountain and he could get his programming complete, blah, 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 blah. It was the 70s, forgive me. It was basically a soft pilot for a potential series, as were a lot of the Roddenberry things. But
there was another series. I don't know if it was a Canadian show, but it played in the States. I want to say it was called Lex or...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. It was on
It was on HBO, I think. It used to play on HBO at night.
What was it called? Lex what?
LEXX?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm remembering it. I think I saw a couple episodes on Sci-Fi at one point.
That was like had adult content. It was like
I was gonna say, who were the leads in this series? Was it 3 women?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh wow.
My life, but yeah.
I may or may not have seen a piece of marketing material for that, but that's about it.
That came around the time when Xena was hitting it big, and then there was like Cleopatra 2525.
Oh my gosh, Willow.
That's
I look at that title and I'm thinking, what are these people smoking these days? Like, why would you? I don't get it. But hey, you know what? Sci-fi is a weird, twisty, fun world that people just have ideas for. So they just run with it.
Hello, Teresa.
Hi.
Hello, Teresa. How are you?
I think we need to plug Teresa. She has 2 good poetry books, right? She was just on your show, Willow's Pillow Talk.
Yes, she was.
I know that name sounded familiar.
I'm gonna try working with her to bring out her poems a little bit more to.
She's very excited about that. She told me about that.
The best we can give you for that, Willow, is golf clap. That's great. That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
I look forward to working with her.
Artists supporting artists. That's what we need to do in this community.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Exactly.
Rising tide.
Well, you know what they say, Brian. A rising tide raises all ships.
It does.
Even Brian K. Morris knows where I'm going with these words. So, he's got the mask to prove it. And the coffee mug.
Let me ask you, Brian, where can we find this merchandise?
Well, golly, thank you for asking, Brian, and that totally impromptu question. Actually, go to Teespring or go to risingtide.pub. Sign up for my monthly newsletter. Plus, every time I broadcast, which is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., not that I'm used to promoting myself, but also Tuesday nights at 8 p.m., it's in my, it's all the look below the screen, and there's all the information on how you can keep in touch with me. And I see Nicole like rolling her eyes, like, "Dear God, who let him on here?" Anyway, was our show.
If it does help you, Brian K. Morris, I did subscribe to the newsletter.
Well, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah.
And we have a Patreon page, Brian K. Morris, all lowercase, one word. But anyway.
How much more plugging do you want this young man, Brian K. Morris, to keep doing, host?
Get the power strip, folks. The plugs are coming.
But in all seriousness, Nicole loves Brian K. Morris.
Who doesn't love this guy? Come on.
I am fond of all of you. And not just in that emotional way, but something like,
like what did they say in that movie, Brian? We heart you 3000? Come on.
Exactly. Yes. I'm even working to make my fingers move like the young people.
There's your heart right there, Mr. Morris.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah. Come on, Willow. Make the heart. We know you want to. There it is.
There we go.
Yeah. We love you 3000, Brian K. Morris.
We love you 3000 too.
Yeah. And I don't know if we let you know this in the beginning of the show, but Rose is an author herself.
Let's hear about this. I see, and this is a moment of rare seriousness for me. I do like promoting other authors, other creators. That was really what the Rising Tide is about, whether it's broadcast or print or ones and zeros. So let's hear about Rose. I want to hear about Rose. I don't know enough about Rose.
Neither do I. Let's learn more about this special person.
Back in 2018, I published my first novel. It took me 3 years to write it. It's called Warped Influences. I call it like a sci-fi psychological thriller. It didn't take off as well as I'd hoped, but anybody who reads it has really seemed to have liked it. So.
Well, everybody who has read her book, please leave her a review on Amazon and on Goodreads. In all seriousness, that will help Rose so very much.
But it meant the world. It was a passion project for me. It was an idea that I'd had years and years ago that I kind of like retooled it, and it just came to life. And it was a really great experience. And I just unfortunately haven't had a chance to write anything book-wise just because of my job and everything that's been going on with my life. But I'm hoping to get to do a sequel. I've had a sequel in mind for a while. And there's another novel that I started, but I haven't gotten very far on, but I'm hoping to finish that one as well. I also have a website. It's www.warpedinfluences.com. I haven't posted on there lately, but I had a bunch of stuff on there about my appearances and some, ideas about life. But with the coronavirus lately, I haven't really. There's nothing really I wanted inspiring I've had to write about. So, but there's there's some content on there, so check it out.
What's the elevator pitch of the book?
You just love putting these awesome people on the spot, don't you?
Well, Brian K. Morris on his show always talks about the elevator pitch. So
my elevator pitch, I need to work on it because it's kind of convoluted. But here it goes. The basic part of it is there's a teenage girl who's like got her act together. She's a up and rising tennis star. She's a straight A student, and she goes missing one night. And when she returns, she has no clue of what happened to her. And then all these creepy things start to happen. People start to go missing, and there's a mystery, and it gets really involved and kind of complicated. A lot of characters got fleshed out in that book, and they really just came to life. And there's a news reporter by the name of Sammy Samuels who actually becomes like I had just wrote her as a cameo in the book, and she actually became like the second lead character.
Rose, please friend me. I'd like to help you with some of this stuff. Okay.
Okay, will do. Thank you, Brian.
See what I mean? It just keeps building, folks. The community just keeps building in this world.
And that's one thing I love about this community. Seriously. And that we all have different disciplines here. And we can all come together and support each other. And seriously. That's what part of my mission's about. So.
Yeah, and speaking of missions, since we're talking the famous spaceships and stuff, where do you guys see the future of like sci-fi films and stuff like that with spaceships? What would you like to see?
I'd like to see another Hitchhiker's Guide to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes, I know where you're going with that.
Good one.
Yeah.
I hated the film, except for the last 10 seconds.
I like the BBC version of it, though.
Yes. Perfect. That was a
I
perfect.
didn't even know there was a BBC version. Good heavens.
With Peter Davison as the dish.
Oh my goodness gracious. The things I learned on this program.
I know. But on your Amazon, get that Amazon list.
I know I closed my link like a while ago, but yeah. I'm sure Brian or Brian K. Morris will send it to me through Messenger or something. Maybe even Rose may send me a DM saying, Ryan, I want you to add these to your list. By the way, Rose, if you want to friend me and just make me get more homework over this very short but yet, restful winter break, go right ahead and throw some more titles at me.
I think your plate is pretty full, Ryan.
Right, it probably is, but if you want to throw more titles that I'll get to in the next 50 years, let me know. Just feel free to friend me, Rose. That's all I'm saying.
That's cool.
I don't mind. The lists are just long. That's it.
Well, you know what? I'm looking forward to seeing the Jonathan Frakes Marina Sirtis series.
Oh, they're making a spinoff with those two?
They're supposed to be.
Oh.
It's too bad it's not going to be like, I don't think it's the Titan, though.
So it's Xanatos and Demona working together again from the Gargoyles days. Okay, now you have me intrigued.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, well, I grew up a little bit on Gargoyles because, I'm a nice kid. But yeah, at least I know who the actors are.
That's something I'm looking for. I'm looking for a live action Gargoyles.
We're never going to get that, though. And we probably shouldn't, because I don't know if the live action is going to translate well. Just keep it animated.
Well, apparently there was somebody came to Disney, had walked into their office with a idea, and it was the guy that did Us.
Peele?
Yeah, Jordan Peele. He had an idea to do Gargoyles, and I guess Disney didn't.
We have a special guest, guys.
We have
You didn't even wait. You're just like, oh, boom, here's a special guest. Jeez Louise. Wait a minute, what did you do to the other guests?
Ryan,
I show up, somebody leaves? That's how it works?
We're not
No,
worthy.
I'm still here.
Okay, there you go.
No, it's just, I thought we were going to be leaving soon to grab drinks at the hotel bar, but now that you're here, we're going to be here another 2 hours. So there goes my happy hour.
The captain is on the bridge.
Yeah, there goes my happy hour, Willow. Thanks a lot.
I already went to the bar, and she's cute.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who served you, Brian?
No, to answer your question, Brian, this guy's spaceships and vehicles and whatever. That's all I got.
Because it's expected of me. But I want to see more interest in NASA.
Yeah.
I want to see these spaceships go back to the source, the wellspring of where real adventure happens, where real lives are on the line. We're seeing some good stuff happening right now with SpaceX that is really inspiring. And I would like to see sci-fi give a little nod every now and then to the real life adventures that are going on right under our noses that the news doesn't cover.
I can see that.
There's something that we didn't talk about was Lost in Space.
Oh, the Jupiter. Yeah, the Jupiter.
Yeah, what'd you think of? Did you see the Netflix series?
I saw a couple of and I'm one of the few people that like the movie.
With the guy from Friends, right?
Yeah, with Joey.
Yeah.
No, with William Hurt.
Joey's wearing a lot of clothes in that movie.
No, not Joey. But no,
That's too busy watching Heather Graham.
That was when the ship took off, and it was the original design, and then everything blew away for the new one. And that I like the design of that. I forgot about that. That's a good one.
Whatever happens in life, can we just agree that
murdering each other in the background?
whatever happens, can we just all agree that Gary Oldman is the best actor in the world? That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Talk about a chameleon that gets lost in a role.
Yeah, him and Jared Harris, who played the future Will Robinson on there. He is amazing. It's like every time I look at the screen, it's like, oh, he's doing a role. Wait a minute, that's him. like Gary Oldman just vanishes into the role and makes it his own. Yeah.
I think with that storyline, I think that should have been a second or a third movie. I think they should have kind of just stuck with the premise of what was going on, introduce the characters, and then go into this spider weird realm and seeing future Will Robinson. I think they just pushed it too hard together there. But that's my opinion on that.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then there's no movie, so that I think my opinion wins. So they. So what was the topic? It was TARDIS, right? I win. Okay, that's it.
Hi, everyone.
TARDIS.
I think I'm late to the sci-fi world. Like, I'm late to the party because, like,
there you go.
Like, my entrance is really Star Wars, and that's about it. Star Wars and Guardians. That's it.
Yeah, but if you could see how Ryan has grown in the last hour and 44 minutes, that his horizons have like expanded beyond any amount of comprehension that any of us have. It's been a beautiful thing to watch, really.
Yeah.
And Nicole, there is hope.
But I mean, like the 90s had several great sci-fi shows. And like Andromeda was one of them that I loved watching. Not only Star Wars or Star Trek was a huge thing. We had oh my god, brain fart. Complete brain fart. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I'll let you think about that.
Google it for
the Trekkie fans here. The question of all questions: Next Generation or Deep Space Nine?
Oh man.
Might be here all day.
You know, it just depends on the day. I love them both. They're like brothers and sisters, you know?
Yeah. It's kind of like comparing your lawyer son or your doctor daughter. It's just
And I'll sidestep it and say Voyager.
They both make me money.
Voyager.
But, they turned out pretty well in their own right. But yeah, that's kind of hard. But are we saying which one's the better one or which one we live in or who had the better ships? Because the Defiant really kicked some butt for the little ship that it was. Defiant, just like, God, I was just like, just put that in the battle. Forget the other ships. Just Defiant just like flew by and went through wormholes and actually went up and ended up being in a movie. So I'm just like, but it got its butt kicked, but not before it like really took out a Borg vessel. Yeah, so I'm just like,
so I actually have one.
Oh, there you go.
Once again, Willow has everything.
What's the line in that movie? That's a powerful little ship, and Worf says little.
Yeah, exactly. How dare you?
So, like I said, I'm not like a super Trek guy, so I don't really understand the hate that the Scott Bakula series gets. Can someone explain to me?
I do. I know it. I do.
Brian K. Morris knows too much for his own good.
I do. I should be killed. The black fans are pulling up now. No, probably. The ending, the last episode.
Oh, everybody hates that.
And I agree. It is like, hi, folks. We, the producers, have just invalidated every moment you've spent with this show for the last 4 years. Have a nice day, you. But anyway,
insert insult and curse words here.
Exactly. Yeah, but except for I think because of the fact that you have invested the time and emotion in these very unique characters and their situation, then all of a sudden you find out, hey, spoiler alert, I don't care. That you find out that it's all been a holodeck fantasy. What a slap in the face to the fans.
That's a low blow.
That's, well, I know a lot of people who think Star Trek Discovery is a holodeck that just went awry, but like that's their opinion on out there. But yeah, it was. It shouldn't have ended that way, or it should have come up with another case. And the problem with Enterprise, it started off slow, and then it came up with this time travel thing, and we wanted more of how the Federation started to come together, how the Klingons and how all these civilizations were working under the Federation. We're trying to see that merger, and we just kind of, for a better term, took the Fonz, jumped the shark, the RV behind the shark, and literally Disney World behind that shark to an extent where it was just kind of getting wild. It had some really great stories. I don't think it was bad acting, but what they did at the very end, and especially with the one character, who's Captain Archer's friend, the engineer? I can't think.
Oh yeah, Yeah.
So killing him off made absolutely no sense. Killing him off.
Yeah, that made me really angry.
That was just like, oh, we're doing it because we wanted to have a Spock in our series, or have a kill off for the kill off, and not necessarily it's moving the story or making it any better. And that was just dumb.
Yeah.
And even I think Birdman, Red Birdman came around eventually, and he said, "Yeah, I think I screwed up."
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how about this one where they say it's the best non-Star Trek show, The Orville?
I like the Orville, but it's been hard to watch it because it just it just skips around. I haven't seen it since did it ever premiere on Hulu? Did it ever show up?
Season 3 is supposed to be coming soon, or at least they're in the middle.
Okay, because I really liked the first season, but I never got to really watch the second season. And it was Trip Tucker that they killed off.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Tucker. I think I really think that, in my opinion, on this one, I think Seth MacFarlane picked up where Gene Roddenberry wanted to be in that series. He knew exactly how to integrate, because remember, I think it was MacFarlane who was actually an extra in The Next Generation, if I'm not mistaken. He actually showed up at somebody find that out for me. Nicole, while you're not doing anything.
Family Guy shows up in a Star Trek show? How does that even humanly possible?
I truly think
I'm going to look that up right now. Whoever other character he portrays shows up on Star Trek.
It goes to the same argument that Jon Favreau brought back Star Wars in a series that they couldn't do in 3 movies.
A Western in space, and I love it to pieces.
Right, but that's what Star Trek was supposed to be, was a Western in space. That's how it was. And it was supposed to be a progressive show that we're supposed to be better than the last thing we did. And we're supposed to have technology that's supposed to be even better than we did. And
learn from your history.
Right. And I'm just like, I know people are split on the decision with STD, but I'm just like, I actually stopped watching it after the first episode. I didn't know where it was going. I didn't know what it was about. It was kind of like, here's this micro universe inside Star Trek that just doesn't kind of mesh with the rest of it. I could see it as a reboot or retelling, like the Kelvin universe, but I couldn't see it as part of.
He was in Star Trek. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. He was in Star Trek Enterprise as Ensign Rivers.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God. Seth MacFarlane. I guess you do get around, don't you, comedy guy? All right.
Everywhere.
He does.
Wow.
I watched a couple episodes of Orville, and I liked it overall, but what took me out of it were the navigator and the helmsman. Because it would be like, we've got this dramatic situation coming up. Yes, and now here's some character explanation. And then here's these two guys in front. Hey, let's do vaudeville. It's like the show comes to a halt so these two can do a stupid line where, if they had done that on Kirk's Bridge or Pike's or Picard's, those guys would have been put into a photon torpedo and shot into the sun.
But that's why it's a Seth MacFarlane series instead of a Gene Roddenberry. There's no Star Trek to it, but you can see all the homage from Star Trek that's in there, that it's life's blood. But it's got to have the Family Guy jokes. But
it doesn't.
I do. I think there might be a little bit where the needle goes a little bit too far and it just kind of kills what the story is. But some of the great stories were
but just pulled me right out of that movie.
But stories like where he's falling in love with the girl and it turns out to be the enemy that was tricking him the whole time. That whole story is great. I mean, I got to watch the series again. It's been a while, but there were so many things that were so great about the series, where the daughter, who's the security guard, has to go home and she's got to make a choice whether she wants to go back in the ship or live with her family. Those are the kind of stories, and not only that, but that was something that I think Gene Roddenberry was trying to implement into the new series, that everybody does get a story of their own, or at least you see characters where they're interacting and they're improving. They're bettering themselves. They're getting better. And I think that's something that's a testament to Gene Roddenberry. And then all the way up until Enterprise, you were getting. Enterprise was kind of rookie. So I would probably say at least Voyager. Except if you ask Garrett Wong why he never got promoted. I felt bad for the guy. He did more on that ship than anybody else, and he never got promoted.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
So we were talking about spaceships, right? I'm sorry. I just went
Yeah, the show has gone in a million different directions, so I don't even know what year it is right now.
Every time I get on the show, you know, it's like off the rails.
I don't even know if Brian's planned out an ending for this show yet.
No, well, I was gonna say that Brian earlier in the when he was talking about Wrath of Khan on how William Shatner was doing his best acting. I actually think his best acting was the death of Spock, and was that Star Trek 3?
Yeah,
that was the best of William Shatner.
Search for Spock. You got to find your kata, your spirit. Sorry, I learned that from Seinfeld, but
I agree. That whole movie was William Shatner at his absolute best, and you see parts of it in the classic series too, where you can tell this guy had a classical acting training. And he's not just playing William Shatner, who's going over to Harlan Ellison's house to make sure that he has more lines than everyone else. So,
what did you guys think of Stargate?
I love Stargate.
I like the ones I saw.
I'm very interested in actually binge watching some of the Stargate series at some point whenever my list clears up. If I ever get done anything in my life, I wouldn't mind watching SGU or even Stargate Atlantis because I'm fascinated by the mythology and the history of Atlantis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I enjoyed Stargate Atlantis a lot. Stargate Universe, they didn't give it a fair shake. They didn't let it mature. That. Yeah,
I heard about that, but I still want to watch SU because it's got some cool cast members there. But Atlantis would be my first one because I want to travel to Atlantis. I want Atlantis documentaries. I want more Atlantis movies so bad. Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you this question, since it was just announced at the Disney investors meeting. Patty Jenkins doing a Rogue Squadron film, which she had came out saying it's not going to be based on the video games or the books. It's going to be an original story.
In the words of Futurama, Brian, shut up and take my money. I'll be there opening weekend, brother. Not for I don't know if theater's going to be around, but I will be there on a streaming service to watch that bad boy because it's Top Gun in space, and I'm all for dogfighting. So give it to me. I'm down. Patty Jenkins at the helm of it, fine with me.
What do you think, Brian?
I would go because it's Patty Jenkins. Wonder Woman sold me 100%. I'm looking forward to 1984. If she were to direct, anything, I would probably be there too. So I'll be in the tent 2 weeks before the premiere, right behind Ryan.
There you go.
Yeah, I've been a fan of Patty since Monster.
Dude, Monster has some of the best acting in any film, period. That's what made me a Patty Jenkins fan. Then she did Wonder Woman. I thought it was fine, but not great. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the sequel does. But, dude, if you want a school of acting, watch Monster. That is some of the best, most deserving, award-winning acting I've ever seen in a film. From both of them. Not just Charlize Theron, but Christina Ricci, who we grew up on as kids as Wednesday Addams in the Addams Family, and the love interest in Casper. Hello, Casper. And then she does this, and I'm like, whoa, this girl's got mad range, brother.
Yeah. I have a feeling that this film is going to make a lot of people cry because it's dedicated to her father.
Yep, fighter pilot. Yeah, absolutely. They'll tug at the heartstrings for sure. Yeah. Most movies do that, Brian. It's called a formula. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I'm waiting for Christina Ricci to pop up and do Morticia. Everybody's campaigning for that one.
Oh, that needs to happen. That needs to happen.
I mean, Johnny Depp as Gomez. I don't know about that, but she's got to ascend to Morticia. It's almost like an upgrade.
Yeah. I'm down for the torch being passed.
Yeah.
If it were to happen, hypothetically. Plus, I want to. Christina Ricci, she isn't really doing much anymore. Christina, where are you? Come out of here. Just be in some movies. Be in some stuff.
1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million.
Yeah, we'll back the money truck up to your house. I don't get a dump truck full of money.
There's some people who are just
like, pretty good.
What was that, Rose?
She did a Lizzie Borden show. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I got to get on that. I got to see that. Yeah.
So I'm gonna run one more ad here, and then we'll come back and we'll all kind of end the show. And
I guess we should do that, huh?
I just got here.
We're going to run this because our guest has a story in this, and I actually have this a high rating. I love this. So here we go.
Stormgate Press presents a collection of 7 new short stories from today's leading authors and illustrators in the new pulp genre. Experience courageous two-fisted heroes and their intrepid and often dangerous exploits. From dark, watery depths to high-flying heights, these fantastic tales span the globe and take the reader on fast-paced adventures in classic pulp style. Take a seat as we pull back the curtain on Days Gone By with edge-of-your-seat storytelling in the vein of Golden Age era pulp fiction. This is Pulp Reality. Available now from Stormgate Press on Amazon.com.
Every time I hear the word two-fisted, my left brain just wants to take off. Every time, Brian, you're just not making. You're not making.
Yes. Sorry.
What was that, Will?
Cookie is going to be jealous of our book right now. I'm just letting you know.
I also like to endorse Christian show.
Once again, Pulp Reality #1. That has also been sitting on my list. Yeah, I got a lot to do.
I was talking to Charles Millhouse, and I told him I had only read halfway through at the time I talked to him, and I already had that book at a 4.3. That's out of 5.
Nice.
It's pretty high, Brian.
I just finished the book, and I'm sitting at like a 4.8. That book it's a good book.
I love this reaction, Brian, that your wife is looking at you like you finished a book. It had words and pictures.
Yeah, not one of those books that have pictures
with a crayon out.
It's a sad world when your husband reads more books than you, and you're the teacher in the family. But
I know. What are the odds,
I didn't have
right?
to say that part. I was just loving you were the face. I wish I could do it. Really?
Don't worry, we can watch that reaction on the replay.
Yeah, this is why Cookie doesn't appear on screen with me, because she frequently rolls her eyes so much she's mapped out the bottom of her brain. You know what I'm saying? So
mine is my brain didn't tell my face what to do. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Congrats on finishing the book, Brian. I expect that book report by next week.
Definitely. Thank you.
What was that, Brian? What was that book that we always got, the magazine that the kids had in the doctor's offices and stuff like that?
Highlight for Kids.
Highlight for Kids. Yeah, there you go.
I still love that.
He's got the whole set.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, Highlights for Kids. I still remember when we used to go to Scholastic book fairs in my schools when I was a kid. Those were some fun times.
Oh yeah,
I miss Scholastic books.
Yeah, anyone remember taking the catalog and marking all the books you're going to buy, but you're hardly ever going to read? Man,
Right.
every month. It was kind of funny to compare lists with my friends. It's like, oh, Dick and Jane, somebody's ordering that. Oh, so and so's listing Uncle Cuddly Bunny. That's great. Well, let's look at Brian's Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell.
Yeah.
The 5-page edition.
Scholastic book fairs, we missed you. Back in my day, we were ordering Boxcar Children and Animorphs novels.
That's right. No, I love the Scholastic Book Club because, again, I lived in a small community. We didn't have any bookstores. We had a library, of course, but it was pretty microscopic. And, it's like, wow. There's like real books out there. I want to read them, which is why I have more of a classical background in books. That's why my favorite book is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I make no bones about it.
I did a Scholastic book and started reading it, and then all of a sudden you would see the ugly duckling, like the mother duck, going after the swan, the baby swan. You going, that bitch? The hell? What the hell's wrong with you? You put it in my book here. It's like showing a kid Clockwork Orange at 5 years old.
Oh, you're not supposed to?
What's that?
Oh, My parents have got a lot to answer for.
Here's a little something that I learned. You and I, Brian, and I think Rose, I think you can attest. We three are creatures of PBS, right? This is where we got a big learning, right? Well, my parents left it on because they saw Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers and 3-2-1 Contact and the Electric Company, and then Monty Python and Benny Hill, Dave Allen, Full Frontal Nudity. It was like I was getting an education at 11 o'clock at night. That was my lifestyle before A&E and before all this stuff and before Cablevision. I was looking at Taser Titties at 5. So sorry, is this PG rated?
You know what I'm saying? I saw a special on her that left nothing to my fevered imagination as a teenager. So,
oh man, this brings back memories. I miss this.
They're not.
This is what Scholastic Book Fairs looked like for us when we were kids,
and they're not that big anymore.
Which is sad, Nicole. Yeah, good times, right, kids?
Serious.
Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you and take a trip down memory lane as we wrap this up, Ryan.
But the funny thing, like when we were kids, we'd go. I actually did read the books on my list because I guess
I read a few, not a lot, but a few.
But I had Babysitter's Club.
Yeah, that was a movie too. They made that into a movie.
And quite a few other books that like I have quite a collection. But it's funny when we talk about like having our kids read. I'm like, yeah, I can't get my kids to read freaking Spider-Man, but Brian's reading stuff all the time, and the kids see us both reading, but we can't get them to read anything. Then neither one of them read a comic book to save their life, but we'll read about snakes and beetles and every animal on the planet.
Yeah, I remember getting those eyewitness encyclopedias from DK Books. Yeah. And watching the eyewitness documentaries in science class. Those were some good times, ladies and gentlemen.
But, it's funny, though, because I wasn't necessarily a child of PBS, but I think TV raised me.
Yeah. We were all raised on television.
Yeah.
Now TV, like Saturday morning cartoons and cartoons and stuff. They raised
Reading Rainbow.
And we had Reading Rainbow. We had reruns of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
But I'm always a little worried about my own children because now they have YouTube,
iPads,
and they have every single adult cartoon that's also animated, and
they read books on their little bitty tablets. Yeah. It's not the same as actually holding a physical book in your hand and reading it.
Well, I would not tell your children to watch A Clockwork Orange.
No.
Don't let them read.
That's a movie I'm never going to watch again. That's one of the most messed up movies ever made in the history of film.
He's just acting a comic strip with his eyes open.
So I'll chat with you guys later, okay?
Yep. See you, Willow.
Love you.
Yeah.
Have a good
Clockwork
show.
Orange is one of the most disturbing movies ever made.
And the book
but
is
my kids both watch Harley Quinn.
I think Freddy Got Fingered is a close second, but that's just nice.
Oh my god!
Yeah, you want to talk worst movies of all time? Save it for 2021.
Yes.
That sounds good.
So we're gonna end the show here, but Brian, thank you for joining us.
It was a pleasure meeting you, Brian.
Rose, it was great to meet you, and Ryan is so awesome to finally be on the screen with you, and Christian. Anyway, I love Christian. I seriously love Christian. Brian and Nicole, thank you.
Hey, Christian, congrats to you. Congrats to you. You earned it.
Yeah, serious. It was good to finally meet you in person, Brian K. Morris.
Quite a fun time for me too. And Christian, of course, did the Unreal thing. My version is the blow up one. So anyway, I'm just saying that Christian, he's number one. But anyway, no, it's been a fantastic time. I have really enjoyed this. And remember, folks, real broadcasters go over 2 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Brian, Wensloff does, but yeah.
So does Morris.
Don't get me wrong. I've watched your show. I've seen you go 222, 230. I've seen it.
Oh God, I did a 3-hour show one time. Never again. And thank goodness for Cookie needing lunch, and everybody's like, "Go, no, we know what Cookie's like. Go feed her," But we don't want to see a murder here. But no, I've had a fantastic time, Brian and Nicole. Thank you all, everyone here.
Wait a minute, I just got here
on the show. It's been a blast.
Well,
Even with Christian.
Where can we find Brian K. Morris?
Where can we find me? I am everywhere.
He's right over there.
Yeah, Brian, are you paying attention?
I can't even
Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. I'm on. No, never.
You're not there.
But no, I am.
Put on Nerd Culture, quick.
Yeah, quick. I could invade one of these days.
We're more than happy to have Brian K. Morris on our channel.
I'd be happy to be had. But anyway, but no, I'm on Amazon, where you can find my books in ebook and paperback form. I am also on. Thank you. I get the floor and all the dirt on it. And also, we have many publications. We do comic books. We do books. We are on many wonderful shows such as this that enhance our reputation to no end. But I'm also on most social platforms as Brian K. Morris, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to remember it because I am elderly. I just signed up for Medicaid. That gives you a clue. And but anyway, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we're on Nevermind the Furthermore, where you are the star. You type in your comments and your promotions, and we read them on the air and we have a conversation. Also, Clever Title Pending, Tuesday nights at 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Central. And this coming Tuesday, we are very excited because we have a follow-up on a show we did earlier in the year, and we're re-examining the idea of imposter syndrome. Do you feel like you're a creative type and you're going to get poked on the shoulder and say, hey, we've seen you behind the curtain, make way for the real thing? Well, we're going to have the great Carl Witzman, John C. Bruning, and Amy Hale, three incredible authors who are going to discuss how we cope with it. Yes, I said we. And don't forget our closeout of the year on Clever Title Pending on the 29th. We're going to have Donna Carlene, Kathy Jackson, Michaela Jade, and comic creator Luke Stone. We're going to talk about how we survived 2020, the pitfalls, what we did to position ourselves for an even better 2021. And again, thank you, Brian, Nicole, and the whole panel here. I have had a super, super time. Thank you for putting up with my long-windedness, and have a great Christmas, everyone, one and all. And put somebody else on the screen.
I just got here. Willow just texted me. He goes, "You want to be on the show?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Why not? I got to wrap up what I'm doing, and then I'll be on the show." And I took a quick shower and was like, "Okay, all right, we're done here." The hell?
Well, then, Christian,
you got to spend another 2 hours with me.
Give me your top 5 spaceships that are not the TARDIS.
Oh, that's not fair.
What's it going to do?
TARDIS. Well, you're gonna put me on that spot. That'll be another 2-hour show.
We'll be here a while.
And no TARDIS. Or guys, shut up.
don't adjust your TV set there.
Oh wow. They're gonna be in the top 5. There is no rhyme or reason to it, and they're not in order. Starbug from Red Dwarf. I would definitely do Starship Enterprise D, Millennium Falcon. And you know what? I'm going to throw this in, Brian, just for giggles, because there is a funny joke about this, and I think it's true. You back me up on this. You remember the Doctor Who episode Shada?
Yeah.
By Douglas Adams?
Yes.
I gotta research this a little bit, but I think it's true. There was budget cuts going on during the show, and I've got to confirm this. So when they were asking Douglas Adams to come up with a spaceship, he came up with, the spaceship is invisible. So they could get away with a budget cuts. So the spaceship from Shada, which was completely invisible, or you can use the Klingon bird of prey that cloaks in the fourth movie. But I just remember that goof. It was just like, well, we have no money for a spaceship. He goes, well, just make the spaceship invisible. And all of a sudden you see the bad guy walking in and out of the spaceship, and that's how they got away with it. They didn't have to spend a single dollar. Now, I need to confirm that, but I'll put that in there. You know what? If I had to go for the 5th, I do like the promenade on Deep Space Nine.
Oh, yeah.
I do like it because it's in the middle of space. it's spacious out there, and it overlooks everything. It's kind of reminds me of I don't want to do it in the sense, if you ever rode the attraction Horizons over at Epcot, it reminds me of that kind of panoramic view and looking out into space. And literally, it's deep space where you only got the wormhole and Bajor right behind you, at the 7-Eleven next door. But it was just spacious, beautiful, and it just kind of felt like it was, even though it was a Bajoran spaceship, it felt like there was some warmth to it. And I guess it's the way it filmed it. It always looked like it was smoky inside. But I don't know. It just reminds me of those kind of things over at Horizons, Epcot. Rest in peace, that attraction. But I guess that would be the top 5. Now, if I really thought about it, probably 1 or 2 of those answers will change. But those are the 5.
Yeah. So, Christian, I plugged earlier that you had some big news. So, what is going on in your little neck of the woods?
Oh, I took a shower just recently. That's big news right there for half the people.
Thank you, Christian.
What's that?
Thank you, Christian.
You're not even the same state. Shut up. 6 feet for COVID, 60 miles for my snake. Something like that. Yes. I was so happy, and I was a nervous wreck this morning. But we finalized everything because we had to get the tech work and everything. And literally, I was sitting there with my mouse like this. All I had to do was push a button to go watch party. I was like, oh my God, this is going to go on the Wizard World Facebook page. And we're going to be doing a live show with Phantasmagoria. They're going to do a Christmas special this coming Tuesday. Simon Fisher-Becker is going to be hosting it, which is just wonderful. But the most important thing that we managed to make a partnership with Wizard World. And after we tested out the episode and we're talking about upcoming episodes, we were happy to say that all of our live shows will be simulcast to Wizard World now.
That's incredible.
So they're going to be, as we're putting them on the Traveling TARDIS, they're also going to be simulcast over to Wizard World. But it was just nerve-wracking to think, because we put the tech together, put the StreamYard together, and I'm still sitting there going like, it's just like that moment where the doctor is putting those 2 wires together and just like, touch these 2 strands, and I will have initiated my watch party of a classic episode on Wizard World. And I was like, I can somehow F this up somehow. All I have to do is push a button. I know I can mess this up somehow. Somehow it's going to mess up. But it went through. Everything was okay. And a lot of my friends, especially Brian and everybody else, came in through and were chatting and sharing. So Wizard World was very happy. And we can't wait to get started in 2021 with that partnership. And it's going to move into a lot of things for us that I'm still geeking out. I can't even really express the emotion, but here we are. And everybody's going like, you're an overnight success. I'm like, no, I'm not. It took us 8 years to get to this part. It only took 2 years for the radio show, for the podcast. Wow. But it's been 8 years in work.
Congrats, man.
Sure.
I bet you never even thought that you were going to get that far.
No.
I mean,
when Garrett Comacher a long time ago said you were ready, I think we were one of the very first, I think maybe the first podcast to spin off, because I was with him at the Hanging With web show, and he goes, "It's time for you to have your own show." I'm like, I really don't want to have my own show. I just like I think Brian can attest to this. If nobody knows this, maybe Rose, you might know this. I always like to be the Bernie Taupin to the Elton John. I don't like to be the centerpiece. I always like to be in the panel off to the side, spotting out that joke or saying that weird thing and being a contributor, but not the leader of it. And then Garrett just says, it's time for your own show. That was 2 years ago, and now here we are. So yeah, if you were to tell me all this was happening, you would have in your second year 2 doctors, Wizard World by your side, and all these folks that have just been supportive of it. It's like, you got to be kidding me. I'm just, I would still been thinking I'm just going to be loser, but here we are.
Well, you deserve it. I've seen you over these. I've known you, I don't know, 5 years or so here in Florida. You deserve this, and I'm proud of you. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Oh no, Brian! It's imposter syndrome overload.
I can see it working in you, man. It's like owning a mirror. But nobody's ever told me to ready. So hey,
somebody else should be here. It's not me. Somebody else should be actually doing this because there've been other podcasts. There've been other Doctor Who podcasts out there who've been there for decades, and I'm just like, okay, so what made me different? And I'm hoping I can answer that question someday. But in the meantime.
Well, I think the key is, if I may interject, is the fact that
you may not stop.
Shut up, fanboy. Anyway, I'll keep it grounded.
There's a name we're used to being called on the interwebs.
There you go. But no, seriously, this is something that I'll embarrass Christian with a little. That he is doing something different. That he is doing something that is very unique. It's a great chemistry that he and his team have. And I've been on the show a couple times. It is a unique atmosphere. It is wonderfully professional and at the same time incredibly fun. And I agree. You really earned it because you're doing something that is so unique in the marketplace here that, of course, it's going to attract attention. And now people are going to be looking at your stuff and saying, well, what can I do that's exactly like that so I can get that kind of fame? And guess what? It ain't going to happen, kids. Because,
no, you watching the right show, Brian? You're not watching Brian's show, are you?
I'm talking about everyone's but mine, okay?
You're not talking about my show. I don't know. I said when people said, "I loved your show," and I said, "You watched it with your eyes open, right?"
Well, that's why when people come on and say, "Hey, I'd like to be on Clever Title Pending," my first thought is, "What's wrong with you?" So I'm working through that. But Brian, no, seriously, man, you earned it, man. You're doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to riding your coattails in 2021.
So is that Christmas episode the only thing you have coming up, Christian, or do you have anything else beyond that?
This Tuesday is going to be our Christmas special. The following Tuesday, we're going to have a special episode to do a preliminary on Revolution of the Daleks, and then April 1st. It might as well be January 1st, right after the show premieres. We're going to be doing a live review of that. Plus, there is new guests, new topics, new celebrities are going to be lined up all the way down to February. So we've been really working hard, not only to secure, which took about a little over a month to get Wizard World, but there's going to be a lot more. And so this is kind of just the first step into many. So I'm happy.
And we can find you on Instagram, Twitter, all that. Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, right?
Sure, and the Orlando, Florida too, if you really want to stalk me out.
He's also going to be on an episode of Clever Title Pending in January.
That's right, I am.
Nice.
He's slumming.
Well, Christian, thank you for joining us. Better late than ever, I guess, is what they say.
True.
Absolutely.
So, Ryan, over there at Nerd Culture, what do you guys got going on?
Yeah, aside from fooling around in the studio with putting up new banners for everybody and changing my nickname from Mandalorians to Mr. Nobody, because my resume is nowhere near qualified to be on these programs like these guys. But I tell you what, boy, it's been fun. It's been a heck of a year. Nerd Culture, we got new videos dropping each and every week on our channel, so make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow us on all forms of social media at It's Nerd Culture, and also check out our Threadless store. You can buy yourself some mugs, some magnets, some laptop cases, whatever. Go to threadless.nerdculture.com, or if you go to hwwswebtv.com, look at the store. Get a ridiculously good-looking shirt like this one that's got Nerd Culture and HWS Web TV swagger all over it. Feel free to buy yourself one of those, because this is one of my new suits that I debuted for you watching at home, ladies and gentlemen. I do this for you, just to be clear. But overall, this was fun, Brian. Thanks for having me on a 3-hour show that turned into 6 hours. And it was great to meet Brian K. Morris. It was great to meet Rosemary Rose. Look forward to reading their books and spending countless hours locked away inside a room where I'm going to do nothing but read books, watch a billion movies that I haven't seen because, like I said, I'm quite young on this panel. And just, gain more knowledge, be more educated. So let me tell you something, Brian. Being on Reels and Heels, I got to go, but it's been educational. So yeah, thanks for having me, and I look forward to seeing what happens with myself with Nerd Culture, you guys on Reels and Heels, and everyone here within 2021. Because in 2021, the sky's the limit, and we're all gonna go places and support one another. That's what I see happening. Other than that, thanks for having me, and cheers.
Yes, Ryan, and definitely Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's good to be here.
As always, it's a pleasure to have you on. What do you have going on for the rest of the year?
You asking me again? I just told you.
Oh, sorry, Brian. Didn't realize you were talking to me. We just wrapped up for the year. We did our Christmas special this morning. We're not doing one for the holiday. We will be back January 2nd. The topic has not been decided yet because it's Jerome's turn. So we will all be surprised when we get back. I am planning Terry Tunes down the line. Probably my next show will be about Terry Tunes. And we're just going to keep rocking it for 2021 and staying strong. And Saturday Morning Cartoons is a HWWS, and you can actually get merchandise from our show as well. And all the proceeds for our shirts are go to charity of Mark's choice, Mark B. Lee's choice. So you can find us there almost every Saturday at 9 a.m.
And you can find your book on Amazon as well.
My book is on Amazon. It's Warped Influences. You can find it on Amazon. It's on Kindle. You can get it in softback. You can actually, if you wanted an autographed copy, if you go to Picard 328 on eBay, I do autographed copies of the book as well, and we'll ship off to you. My website is www.warpedinfluences.com, and you can find like some extras and little things, some poetry, stories that I've written. And I'm hoping to get back into the swing of things soon and start posting again. It's been a while, but I'm hoping to get back into it. So thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure meeting you, Ryan. Brian K. Morris, an honor, and Christian, always. It's always good to see you. I miss seeing you running down the hallways in conventions. I miss it. So I hope someday we'll be back doing it again.
It's called streaking. Okay. If we're going to go this, just imagine we're all on Threadless. So I just want to say, if you want to buy like one piece of merchandise from everybody who's on Threadless in the HWWS, you spend $99, you get free shipping, and you'll have one piece or at least a couple pieces of merchandise from everybody here. So you'll want to do that there. And in Brian's defense, tell me if I'm wrong, especially you, Brian. I know because you go into the third and fourth hour. After the second hour, you're on autopilot. You can't remember a name. Words elude you. And you sing vapor trails. After the second hour of anything that you're doing on a podcast or a radio show, you kind of just, your brain just goes into repetitive mode, and you just.
There is
about 15 minutes.
I mean, look at this. Brian K. Morris drinking out of a coffee pot. What's going on with this?
I've
never seen a person drink from a coffee pot. So I'm getting all kinds of new experiences because of Brian and Nicole bringing me onto this crazy circus called Reels and Heels. And by the way, Brian, you can find my podcast known as the Nerdcast on Anchor, Google, and Spotify, where I review movies past and what lack there is of the present as I'm continuing my film education. So tune in to that.
Usually we ring the bell, but Brian K. Morris has an awesome outro that I would love for him.
Awesome outro. What the hell?
Isn't that the broadcast terms, Nicole? I went to school for this, so I've heard these names before.
Outro?
Yes.
People do intros and outros to their programming. I've done it at radio stations. We did it all the time when I was working in the workforce.
We need a new word. It doesn't work.
So I'm going to give the screen to Brian. Brian, please.
Oh, thank you. I am genuinely honored, and I get asked this to do a lot. I get asked to do this a lot, and I mean it sincerely. It's how I close out my broadcast. And again, thank you to Brian and everyone on this panel for allowing me to be here. But as always, folks, especially as we approach the end of this year, which has been a very trying one for all of us, stay smart. Stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. That's just what you are. Thank you for tuning in today on Reels and Heels. Have a great holiday, everyone.